Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Paramakurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarvagurubhyo Namaha. So today we're going to discuss the Anaprasana or first grain giving ceremony according to the text Satkriya Sar Deepika, which is a Gaudiya text. We don't exactly know the origin of this text, but in any case, it's used by some Gaudiyas, and we'll be discussing it. So I'm going to share a screen. So this is an English translation of Satkriya Sar Deepika, the one done by Banuswami, I guess, for the unprinted, published by the Bhaktivedanta Academy or Mayapur Gurukulam. Anaprasana. Okay, so I guess we could go straight into it. So starts out with a list of things that you need. So apparently this is a samskara where the child of about, I guess, 6 months of age is going to discuss that, the time to do it down here in a minute. It's a samskara where the child is fed solid food for the first time, particularly grains. Since in India, or especially in South India, rice is a staple grain, so rice is used. But I suppose you could feed any solid food or any rice, any sort of grain. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a grain, but I mean any solid food to the child. If this is the first solid food that the child's getting, of course, we may find that the children are being fed some sort of solid food before this, so it's not necessary today that the parents are not feeding any solid food to the children before they do this. This is just simply a way of sanctifying the child eating solid foods. Okay, so what do we need? We need standard paraphernalia for doing a fire ceremony or a yajna, and we need some food, some solid food, which should be, of course, prasadam, offered to the Lord, food sanctified by the Lord. In this case, it says mahaprasadam, rice. Okay, then so just I'm gonna mute the participants here, and if there's any question, or if you want me to stop at any time or ask a question or make a comment, just unmute and just let me know, or you can also type in the chat. So there are some different times when this should be done. Accordingly, it should be done for a male child in the 6th or 8th month on an auspicious day. An auspicious day means that you have to look up in the Panchangam, and you have to find a day according to the natal chart of the child, or also according to the rules of Muhurta. What's an auspicious day? So in the 6th or 8th month of life for the male child, in the 5th to 7th month for a female child, for a girl. Okay, so anyway, but those things are not that important. It's nice to pick a day which is auspicious. The father, having taken bath, should perform Vasudeva Archana. Vasudeva Archana means the worship of the Lord. And there's a system in Satkriya Sar Deepika of Vasudeva Archana given on page 86. For right now, let's skip and let's go. Let's not talk about the preliminaries and the other parts. Let's just talk about the main aspect of the samskara first. And then if we want, we can go back and we can look at some of the preliminaries, depending on whether people understand what the preliminaries are or not. So, Vasudeva Archana, worship of the Lord. Sattvika Vriddhi Shraddha, normally in a samskara, in a Vedic samskara, one would perform what's called Nandi Shraddha. Shraddha means faith, of course, and it's getting permission from the ancestors. The Sattvika Vriddhi Shraddha is, in fact, taking permission more or less from spiritual ancestors like the Guru Parampara. Kushandika rites are the Purvangam, or what we also call as Agni Mukham. That is setting up and starting the sacrificial fire. And it says, it gives a page number for that. And up to a certain point, up to the section on Virupaksha Japa, which is a prayer which is said during the Kushandika or the setting up of the sacred fires, the Agni Mukham, in this particular system of Satkriya Sargipika. And Virupaksha is, I believe, the name of Shiva. Let's see what Virupaksha means. I'm not finding the word in the Sanskrit dictionary right now for some reason. Maybe it's spelled wrong. Well, Virupaka, no, I don't think it's that. Okay, anyhow, and then established the fire named Suchi. When it says establish the fire named Suchi, there's a particular part in this form of Kushandika or Agni Mukham, or setting up of the sacred fires, where the fire is named, or a name is attributed to the fire, and there are different names for different fires used in different ceremonies. So the particular name here is called Suchi. Shuchi means usually means pure. Let's see what. So we could understand from the name of the fire, we can understand somewhat about what the ceremony is about. It's for purifying the baby. The baby's getting some purification in some way. Okay, so then after all that is done, after the Agni Mukham is done, he should take ghee-soaked wood of 1 pradesh. 1 pradesh, I believe, is we can look that up. They have an explanation of the jargon. Pradesh is normally the span of the hand. Look that up. If we just want to get it actually correct, we can look that up. Pradesh. Pradesh, measurement of the tip of the small finger to the tip of the thumb, the outstretched palm, equal to 12 angulas, or approximately 9 inches. An angula is approximately the width of the finger. Angula means finger. So it's approximately 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters. And 2 centimeters. And therefore, 12 angulas would be like 24 centimeters. Is that correct? Not sure. Anyway, we can look that up later on. Anyway, so he should take some lengths of wood that are approximately this, let's see, from the thumb to the little finger, that length. And you dip one end of the wood in the ghee, and then offer it into the fire with the following mantras. Offer ghee-soaked wood of 1 pradesh length into the fire silently, and then perform Vyasta Samasta Mahavyarati Homa. So Mahavyaratis are Bhur, Bhava, Swa. There are other Vyaritis. These are mantras that are expansions of Omkara, which are equated to the 14 planetary systems. In most cases, only 3 planetary systems are mentioned: the Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, the earthly planet, the lower planetary, middle, and upper planetary systems, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. Notice that in North India, in Shukla Yajurveda and some other Vedas, the third Vyahriti is Swaha, S-V-A, Visarga. Whereas in the Taittiriya Krishna Yajurveda, that is pronounced Suvaha. Okay, so obviously this text is not meant for Krishna Yajurvedis because the text reads Swa, not Suvaha. So I believe that Satkriya Satyapika mentions that it follows the Gobilagriya Sutra, which is a Samaveda Sutra, so we would expect the mantras within it to be Samavediya mantras. Okay, but be that as it may, some people may be chanting the mantras in different ways. I would remind you of the rule in Panini. There's a rule that says that if you know the swaras according to your particular branch of the Veda, if you know the swaras of a particular mantra, then you can chant it with the swaras that you know. Some mantras occur in different Vedas and have different swaras in the different Vedas that they occur in. Or if you don't know the swaras to a Vedic mantra, you can chant it what is called Eka Shruti. Eka means one, Shruti means tone, one in one tone, just like a classical Sanskrit mantra. So there's a rule in Panini that says Eka Shruti. You can chant Eka Shruti if you don't know the swaras. So just remind you of that rule. Perform Avyasta Samasta Mahavyarati Homa. So the words, what do the words mean actually? Vyasta. Vyasta means in pieces or dismembered, separated. And Samasta means put together. So Vyasta Samasta means separated and put together. Okay. Mahavyarati, Maha means of course great, and Vyarati are those terms, those special terms for the lower, middle and higher planetary systems that are expansions of Omkara, which is a transcendental syllable, which comes in the Veda. It means, oh my Lord, basically. So, okay, so we know what they are. They're Bur, Buhu, or Bur. When there's a Sandhi, the Visarga changes to an R from the H with a dot under it, the Visarga. So instead of saying Om Buhu Swaha, we say Om Bur Swaha, right? Then there's Om Bhuvaha Swaha, right? That can also be changed optionally to Bhuvas Swaha, B-U-V-A-S Swaha. That will be with Sandhi. And Om Suvaha Swaha, Suva Swaha, Swa Swaha. Suvaha Swaha would be, according to Krishna Yajurveda, or Sva Swaha according to other Vedas. And that also, Visarga, could also be changed to an S. It could be Svaswaha or Suvaswaha if it was Krishna Yajurveda. And then all three together, Bur, Bhuvas, Svaswaha, right? Or Om Bur, Bhuvas, Suvaswaha, depending on if you were Krishna Yajurveda or another Veda. Okay, so these are the mantras that are being chanted. This is called the Vachana. The mantra is chanted, and then there's another thing. It's a bit of a what we call a prativachana, or a afterwards, a statement afterwards, after the oblation is offered. Here we see the first one is Om Bhur Swaha, and there's an indication in the text. There's a special notation made in this edition to show here to show on this letter of the last letter of Swaha, there's a special notation made in this edition to show that there's a, what we call a Dirgha Swarita, or an extended upward tone. And then don't ask me exactly what these other notations mean, because they haven't explained exactly what their notations mean, but it seems that they mean to go up and down in tone. It's not exactly correct according to the standard method of showing tones or swaras in Vedic texts is not being followed in this edition. So do not take this as correct. It may not be correct in some cases, or it may be correct in other cases, or it may not be correct. For instance, where they're showing tones in this section of the mantra, which is not actually Vedic at all. So normally, classical Sanskrit, there's no tones at all. It's ekashruti. It's one tone. So don't take this edition as having correct tonal indications. It doesn't follow any standard tonal indications. But we can say that the word swaha, which is a word offered into the fire, for offering into the fire. What does the word swaha mean? Swaha is one of the wives of Agni, Agni being the god of fire. And so he has two wives, and one of them is Swada and one of them is Swaha. So Swaha, being the wife of Agni, we approach Agni, who is the messenger of the gods. He's going to be the postman and take the oblation to the different gods or the different deities that we mention in the verse. He's going to take that oblation to that deity. So if we say Om Vishnave Swaha, he's going to take that oblation to Vishnu. So he acts as a messenger, as a conduit for that. And in order to approach him, we approach him through his wife, just like we approach all the devatas through their consorts. We approach Vishnu through Lakshmi, we approach Shiva through Parvati, like this. So similarly, this word swaha is used when offering oblations into the fire, into the sacred fire. Okay, so first one.
One question in regarding to the second part, Idam Vishnavi, Idam Namama. If I understood correctly, this should classically be chanted as ekshruti without swaras. Idam Vishnavi, Idam Namama.
Yeah, it isn't when these words, Om is a part of the Veda, Bhur is a part of the Veda. These are all things which are in the Veda, and Swaha is also in the Veda. These words have swaras that can be put together with swaras. But these other words here, the pradivachana here, the reply, the resignation of the pala, the pala tyaga, or the giving up of the fruit of the oblation, is the mention of the giving up of the fruit. What does it mean? Idam Vishnave, idam namama. Normally, we don't do this. We would say, if we say Om Vishnave Swaha, which Vishnave means the dative case singular of Vishnu, it means unto Vishnu. So it means, oh my Lord, unto Vishnu, we Swaha, we offer oblations. So unto Vishnu we offer oblations, and then we would say, after that, we would say, this, idam, this is the verb to be is understood in this sentence. This is to Vishnu. This is not for me. Right? Normally people don't say idam Vishnave, idam namama. They would say Om Vishnave Swaha, Vishnava idan namama, Vishnava idan namama. They would not say idam Vishnave idan namama. Normally people say Om Vishnave Swaha, Vishnava idan namama. Why Vishnava idan namama? This E turns into an A when it's Vishnava idan namama. It will become an A by Sandhi when followed by idam. So this is not a grammatically correct sentence here. So whoever put it here And I would note, okay, another note is in the original editions of Satkriya Sardipika, which I have we have two editions of Satkriya Sardipika that we can refer to. Well, we have three. We have the English edition by the Mayapur Gurukul, but that's supposed to be a translation of the edition given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I believe in 1905 or so, and another edition in 1932 by Bhaktisiddhanta. So both of those editions have mistakes in them. The Mayapur Gurukul edition also has mistakes in it. However, the Mayapur Gurukul also has many additions in it. And this Pradivachana here is an addition. There is no Pradivachana in the original Satkriya Sardipika. There is no Idam Vishnave, Idam Namama. Okay, there's only just Om Bhur Swaha. Okay, so you can note that. It doesn't mean that this Pradivachana is wrong, although it's wrong grammatically. This particular one is wrong grammatically. And it's sort of interesting that they just say Om Bhur Swaha and then they say unto Vishnu. It's not to Vishnu. Normally in a normal sacrifice, when you would not mention the word Vishnu in the Pradivachana if you haven't mentioned it in the Vachana in the oblation. But in any case, sometimes you might do it, so that's okay. And they haven't done the proper Sandhi here. That's all. And this initial idam is not commonly used like this. But I do understand the meaning. This is to Vishnu. This is not for me. Is the meaning. Okay? So we can say Om Bhur Swaha A, and with the Dirgha Swarita Swaha A, right? Idam Vishnave Idam Namama, right? Otherwise, we could say Om Bhur Vishnave Swaha A, Vishnava Idam Namama. That could also be said. But we have to look in the Satkriya Sardipika. I believe in the Satkriya Sardipika in the original as it is. The Mahavyarati homas are not identified as I could look it up for you in the original if you want, but that we can do that later. Let's just say that right now, yeah, the gecko just confirmed that. Okay, so let's just say for now that we're following this text as a prayoga, so we'll go with this text, even though it may not exactly be the original Satkriya Sardipika text. So anyway, so he's offering Mahavyarati Homa. Now, what does it mean? He's taken one stick of wood and dipped it in ghee and silently put it into the fire after performing all the Kushandika. Then the next thing he's doing Vyasta Samasta Mahavyarati Homa. Now, another thing about Vyasta Samasta Mahavyarati Homa, it serves as a barrier between Pradhana Homas. So when I say Pradhana Homa, Pradhana means a main Homa. There's a primary Homa. There's a primary Homa, and then there's secondary Homas. There's other things. There might be a Prayasthita Homa at the end, like Jayadi Homa, where we offer oblations for forgiving any mistakes that we do. There might be other hymns that are offered, like Purusha Shukta Homa, Sri Shukta Homa. We might offer different hymns in the fire with oblations, and in between those main homas, or even subsidiary homas like Jayadi Homa, right? In between them, to separate them from each other, we put a Mahavyarati Homa and just use these three. There's actually 4 oblations in Mahavyarati Homa using the 3 Vyahritis, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, or Suvaha, if you're a Taitira Krishnayantya Vedi, and Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, all of them, all 3 together. So it's going to be Om Bhur Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Suva Swaha, Om Bhur Bhuva Suva Swaha, like that. If you want to do the Prativachana, you can. If you don't want to do the Prativachana, you don't have to. So you can say Om Bhur Swaha, Idam Vishnave Idam Namama, Om Bhuva Swaha, Idam Achudaya Idam Namama, Om Suva Swaha, or Om Swah Swaha, Idam Narayana Idam Namama, Om Bhur Bhuva Suva Swaha, idam anantaya idam namama om, or om bhurpuvasva swaha idam anantaya idam namama. That's the Mahavyarti Homa. So Mahavyarti Homa is only done with ghee. Don't use charu or cooked rice. Don't use any other grains, right? Don't use any wood. It's only ghee, and it separates the main homas from one from the other. Okay? All right, so we have done that. Now is going to come a Pradhana Homa. The Pradhana Homa here is the Homa where we're going to take some of the Mahaprasadam rice and offer it into the fire. Not exactly sure whether this is correct to offer Mahaprasadam into the fire. The fire is the mouth of Vishnu. So what I would say, in my opinion, right, this is the prayoga which is written. If you want to follow this prayoga as written, you can certainly follow the prayoga as written. But in my opinion, you should just take rice and you should offer it into the fire. By offering it into the fire, which is considered to be the mouth of Vishnu, and the flames is like his tongue, you are actually offering it. So there's no need to make it prasadam specifically before, but you just simply offer it into the fire, it becomes prasadam. So that's just my opinion. Okay, so Om Mahaprasada Annam, Mahaprasadannam, Vai Ekam Chandasyam, Tad Dyekam Bhutebhyas Chandayati. Okay, so this is a mantra. And then we have Swaha. Now, do you notice here something that on the last A they haven't put the Dirgha Swarita. They haven't indicated the tone to be made higher. But actually they should have, because whenever we offer into the fire, we should say Swaha. We should offer this, make the offering into the fire, and the word is Swaha, but there is a Dirgha Swarita, or a higher tone, an extended tone, extended high tone at the end of Swaha. Okay, so it should be Om Prasadanam Vai Ekam Chandasyam Tad Dyekam Bhutebhyas Chandayati Swaha. And then the Parivachana Idam Sarva Bhutebhyo Iran Namama tells you who it's going to. Sarva Bhutebhyo means all living beings, unto all living beings. So this is for all living beings. This is not for me. Okay. The father should offer oblations of ghee with the following mantras. Okay, so seems to be the father is doing all of this, right? If the father doesn't do it, that means the priest does it on behalf of the father, and which is fine. So either the father does it or a priest does it on behalf of the father. The father should offer oblations of ghee with the following mantras. Om Shrir Va Esha Yat Satvano Virochano Sankarshano Mayi Satvam Avadatu Swaha. So here they got it right, and they put some sort of marking here to indicate a higher swara, but actually it's not the same as the marking here. So you can see that they're inconsistent with their tonal markings in this edition. So I would completely disregard their tonal markings, okay, because they're not consistent. Okay, so anyway, unfortunately this line is over 2 pages. Probably a better way to edit this edition would be to put this whole mantra on 1 page and not leave part of it on 1 page and part of it on the other. But anyway, okay. Om Shrir Va Eshas Yat Satvano Virochano Sankarshano Mayi Satvam Ava Dadatu, right, which is the sloka. And then adding at the end, Swaha again, right? Idam Sankarshanaya Idam Namama. So this is for Sankarshana. This is not for me. Okay. And they've given some reference here. Did they give a reference to the previous mantra? No. Okay. They've given some reference here that they say this is coming from the Sama Mantra Brahmana. Sama Mantra Brahmana, as far as I know, and people can correct me if they think that I'm wrong, but as far as I know, the Sama Mantra Brahmana is Chandogya Brahmana, and Chandogya Upanishad forms part of it, but the part which is the Mantra Brahmana is a couple of chapters. It's very rare to find it. I have a couple of editions, I believe, done by some German Indologists. So we might be able to find it, but it goes with the idea that Satkriya Sardipika is following the Gopilagriya Sutra. So we can look up this. We have a Vedic concordance. We can actually look up this this mantra and we can see if it's there. However, I doubt very much whether this mantra is there. Why do I say that? Because the word Sankarshana is used. And I don't know that the word Sankarshana is there in the Veda. Sankarshana is one of the vyuhas, one of the Chaturvyuhas. And normally we only see Sankarshana being used in the Pancharatra literature, not in the Vedic literature. So I don't know that there's a Sankarshana. Maybe there's a word Sankarshana in the Veda. If you want, we could look it up in the concordance. We could look it up and we could see if there's actually, is there actually a, so just one moment, I'll look it up. Okay. Let me just try with Anushwara for a minute. Oh, Sankarshanti. Sankarshanti. There's one mention in the Veda of Sankarshanti in the Atharva Veda. Okay, so I was correct. As far as I know, this mantra is not correct. This is not in the Sama Mantra Brahmana. Unless Bloomfield's Vedic concordance doesn't cover the Sama Veda Brahmana, which is also a possibility. But I would say that this mantra is a corruption and is therefore not actually the mantra which is mentioned in the Veda. We would have to look up some of the other words, and we might see if we can go to the text itself and look and see if this is a correct reference in the text. I can tell you one thing for sure: in the actual original editions of Satkriya Sardipika, the mention of where the text is from is not there. So this has been put in by the Mayapura people, and may or may not be correct. So I don't know. Anyway, so be that as it may, if we're following this prayoga, this is the mantra to be chanted, second mantra to be chanted, and with the word swaha, we're offering ghee again in the fire. Okay, so this is part of the Pradhana Homa. Offering, so we're offering ghee into the fire. First, you offer some rice into the fire with this mantra, and then he offers some ghee into the fire with the next mantra. And now, after that, Om Anasya Gritam Eva, Gritam means ghee. Om Anasya means, Anna means rice or food, actually, it can mean food. Anasya Gritam Eva Rasas Tejaha Sampadarto Tad Anantaya Juhomi. Juhomi means I sacrifice. Comes from the verb juhu, or who. Actually, it means it's who, but it's reduplicated. So Juhomi means I offer sacrifice, right? And then again, swaha, right? So it says It doesn't say to offer anything but ghee. So again, we're offering ghee into the fire, although the indication is that there's also grain being offered. So we would probably want to look this up in the original edition of Sakriya Sadhipika just to check if what they're saying is correct and it's only to be offered with ghee, and to see whether it's also grain to be offered. Because normally, if grain is mentioned and ghee in the mantra, we would expect grain and ghee both to be offered. But here, they haven't mentioned that. So it just says to offer. If we're following this prayoga, this procedure as written by the Mayapur Gurukula, we will just offer ghee. Om Anashigritam eva rasas tejaha sampadarto tad anantaya juhomi swaha. And then the Parivachana here is idam anantaya idannamama. Notice up here we have a dash in between the Vachana and the Parivachana, and also up here in between the Vachana and Parivachana. Down here, unfortunately, they didn't put any dash to indicate that there's a difference between this part of it, which is the oblation, and this part of it, which is the Vachana, and this is the Prativachana, the later giving up of the fruit of the offering to Lord Vishnu in the form of Suchi Agni, which we're offering into the fire too. Okay, so then the next thing is we're going to offer another oblation, again with ghee, because it doesn't, and again they mentioned this is also the next verse from the Sama Mantra Brahmana, which we have to look up and see if it is. We can look up all these things. And similarly, so we've got 2.4, 2.6.14, 2.6.15, 2.6.16, and 2.6.17. So four mantras from the Sama Mantra Brahmana in a row, which are offered as with ghee into the fire. Okay, so the next one is Om Shri Vishnave Shude Swaha. Again, we have a dash indicating the Parivachana. Idam Vishnave Idam Namama. Then we have Om Shri Vishnave Shut Pipasa Bhyam Swaha Idam Vishnave Idam Namama. Right? So this is Sambheda Mantra Brahmana 2.6.17. Okay. So these mantras are offered with the ghee. Now it says he should offer oblations to the 5 life heirs. Now it doesn't say that he should offer grains. Again, it doesn't say he should offer grains. In my opinion, and this is just an opinion, all of these you should be offering grains and ghee into the fire, because that's what the fire ceremony is about. Anaprasana. It's about grains, and even the mention in the first verse up here is about grains, right? Where is it? After the Mahabhyarati Homa, the first one says Mahaprasadanam, right? Which indicates Mahaprasadam, even though I would suggest that by putting the prasadam, by putting in Tamil the word prasadam or sadam or prasadam, sadam in ordinary Tamil, prasadam in Sri Vaishnava Tamil means actually rice. It doesn't necessarily mean it's offered, but normal Vaishnava parlance or jargon is prasadam means it's offered. So here, when they say Mahaprasadam, they mean it's an offered rice. And since Mahaprasadam is mentioned here, Mahaprasada Annam, which means Mahaprasada rice, is mentioned exactly in the this sloka, which we don't know where this is from, because they haven't given any mention of what shastra it comes from. Maybe we can look in the Sama Mantra Brahmana and see if it's also there, or maybe not. This seems to be also there. Another indication that it's not from the Veda is that they haven't put any swara markings on it. They haven't put any tone markings on it. So this might just be an ordinary classical Sanskrit sloka, classical Sanskrit verse. Yeah. Okay. So if in the case that this is a classical Sanskrit verse, we would have to ask, where is it from? And does it actually mean to put Mahaprasadam rice into the fire? Or should it just be simple rice that goes into the fire, into the mouth of Vishnu, which is offered into the mouth of Vishnu and then thus becomes Mahaprasadam? We don't know. because when we offer usually into the fire charu, which is cooked rice, and charu specifically means rice which is cooked on the fire, although nowadays for simplicity people cook some rice in the kitchen and they bring it, and that, because otherwise you have to do the kusandika, do the setting up of the sacred fire first, and then you have to set the pot on top of the fire and you have to wait. And obviously when we're doing ceremonies for people, normally they don't have the time to sit around and wait for you to cook a pot of rice on the fire before you start the ceremony. So normally it's all done beforehand. People cook the rice in the kitchen and they bring the cooked rice, and that's called, when we add a little bit of ghee to that cooked rice, that's called charu. And we add ghee too. We sprinkle some ghee on all the items that we offer into the sacrificial fire. So ghee and rice, when it's offered into the fire, that's the normal thing, charu. So normally we don't offer that charu, we don't offer that cooked rice first to the deity before we offer it into the thing. But here, it seems they're saying to use Mahaprasadam rice. Okay. So anyway, getting back.
Might it be because here, as I can read, this is offered to living beings, to Bhutas. It's not for Vishnu. So that this might be the reason why they want to offer Mahaprasadam to Sarva Bhutas.
Okay, so then my question would be, okay, yeah, that's a good observation, a very interesting observation. It's offered to Sarva Bhutebhyaha. Yeah, okay. So maybe that's the reason for offering the Mahaprasada rice. So why did we not offer the rice before into the fire for Vishnu? Why are we first offering the rice to all the living entities?
Yeah.
So does it then specifically say up here, when we're doing the Vasudeva Archanam, are we offering the rice first of all to Vishnu during the preliminary worship of Vishnu called Vasudeva Archanam?
During Shalagram Puja, because I think they are mentioning one should do Shalagram Shila Puja.
Okay, so we have to look on page 86 and we'll have to see what they say about doing the Shalagram Shila Puja, which is what they call Vasudeva Archanam, or worship of Lord Vishnu, and see if that rice is specifically offered in that section. Again, we don't know. And the thing is that because mostly we've never heard of this text Satkriya Sardipika in general in India. It's not followed by anybody that I know of except for Gaudiya Math and ISKCON. So we don't have any people who are actually following this type of prayoga to go and see what the tradition is. Although what we could do is we could observe the traditions of others, either from observing people performing this anaprasana according to Purohit Darpana, which is the standard text in Bengal, or according to the standard Shukla Yajurveda Paraskara Samhita Shukla Yajurveda Madhyantini Shakas text in Vrindavan. So we could observe that and we could see, or we could go and we could find some Samvedis who are following the Gobilagriya Sutra, because Satkriya Sardipika says it's following Gobilagriya Sutra. We could go find some people like that and we can observe their samskaras and how they perform them. And probably that will be the closest to what we're having here. But we don't have actually a tradition of performance of Satkriya Sardipikas to have a reference for. But we'll see. Let's go on. But that was a good thought there about the Mahaprasadam going to the Bhutas. All right, so now we're coming down here we finish the mantras from the Sama Mantra Brahmana, and we come to the 5 life airs. We don't know if only ghee is being offered here because they don't say. It appears, if I just read the prayoga the way it is, it appears to be just offering ghee. However, when we offer these oblations, these are the same oblations that we use in the Brahmana Bhojana every day when we eat. And these are the oblations we use rice and ghee to offer into the fire of digestion. This is called pranahuti, or pranahuti, offering into the prana, the fire of digestion. And so I would suggest that this also needs to be done with ghee and rice also. Now, my question would be whether this is done with Mahaprasadam rice or this is done with regular rice mixed with ghee, cooked rice mixed with ghee, charu. Because up here, we've started using Mahaprasadam rice, but this, as you say, the Mahaprasadam rice is only for the Sarva Bhutas, right? For all the living entities. It doesn't necessarily mean for Vishnu. Unless this idea, and remember, the Pradivachana is not mentioned in Satkriya Sardipika. So this has been placed in there in this edition by the writers of this edition. They've put this in here. So it's not mentioned in Satkriya Sardipika, although we could go check, but I doubt whether it says it there. So who is saying...
Think of Bhutebhya in the mantra itself.
Yeah, Bhutebhya is in the mantra. Okay, so what is the definition of Bhutebhya? What is the definition of Bhuta? Okay, so let's look at what the word Bhuta means actually. Bhuta can be a name of Shiva, can be a priest of the gods, son of Vasudeva. It can also be son of Vasudeva. But here, it's in plural. So it can't mean those things unless it means, unless we're thinking it means something. Usually what it means is it means here either any living being, right? That's one meaning, any living being, divine, human, animal, or even vegetable in this world of senses, right? Or a spirit, ghost of a deceased person, or a demon or a goblin. It can also mean the 5 elements. So the question is, what does it mean here? Are we offering to the 5 elements? Are we offering to ghosts and goblins? Are we offering to 5 forms of Vishnu? It depends on the interpretation of the word Bhuta here. Okay, so I don't know. They've translated it as for the Bhutas. What does that mean? We don't know. Not sure. Can't say. All right. Let's keep going on. Anyway, back to my question, my query about the offering of the 5 life airs: prana, apana, samana, udana, and dhyana. Normally, when we offer to the 5 life airs, we offer with rice and ghee. So it's a question as to whether that's Mahaprasadam rice or whether that's regular rice. We should note that when we eat, we're eating Mahaprasadam. So if we're eating Mahaprasadam rice and we're putting it into the fire of digestion, but we're thinking the fire of digestion is Vishnu. So it's in one sense, it's philosophically incorrect because we're offering prasadam to Vishnu again. So are we meant to offer prasadam or we're not meant to offer prasadam? So sometimes normally you don't offer prasadam into the fire. It becomes prasadam by offering it into the fire. But here we see that maybe we're offering prasadam into the fire. It's a very interesting question. Maybe we can do some more research on whether it's supposed to be. We need to talk to somebody who's doing anaprasana by some other methods. But anyhow, so down here, let's just go with this prayoga the way it is. It seems to be, although they haven't specifically mentioned it, you're also using the Mahaprasadam rice to do this, although they haven't mentioned it. So from just reading this, one could get the idea he's just doing it with ghee, or one could also get the idea that he's doing it with ghee and Mahaprasadam.
I looked now in this book of samskaras, the purple one, and
the purple. I don't take the purple one as a pramana at all.
Yeah, but there they mentioned that the father should offer the sweet rice with a small spoon as a
sweet rice. He's saying sweet rice. Here it's saying rice. Here it's saying rice. There it's saying sweet rice.
Sweet rice Mahaprasadam.
Is it sweet rice? Is it sweet rice or rice? What does it say in the original text? Should we go to Satkriya Sardipika and try to find out whether it says sweet rice or not?
Just what I want to mention, that he's mentioning that the sweet rice Mahaprasadam is going with ghee after each swaha. It means all these mantras up to the prana mantras in this edition are offered with ghee and Mahaprasadam sweet rice.
Okay. I'm not against offering sweet rice into the fire. Okay, because I have seen that. I've seen offering of yogurt, I've seen offering of milk, I've seen offering of ghee, I've seen offering of many things into the fire. Sweet rice, honey, so many things.
Just
But
Mahaprasadam is
normally, and okay, if you want to do this with sweet rice, but I'm going by this prayoga. This prayoga does not say sweet rice. This says Mahaprasadam rice. Mahaprasadam rice. It means rice, cooked rice with a little ghee, because you have to put a little ghee on the rice or butter before you offer it to God, and offer it to God. That is Mahaprasadam rice. If you want to use sweet rice instead, meaning kheer, meaning palpayasam, which is milk and rice cooked together with sugar, right? If you want to use that instead of Mahaprasadam rice, and if you want to offer it either Mahaprasadam or not Mahaprasadam, that's up to you, but that's not what it says in this prayoga here. So if we're offering, in this prayoga here, we're offering rice, either Mahaprasadam or not. If you want to bring in some idea from the Purple Samskara book, and we don't know where they get their ideas from, right? And that then maybe the first oblation up here also is sweet rice, right? Right? Is that what he said? He doesn't have it.
It says at the beginning of the ritual, cook or get some sweet rice offered to the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord.
Right. Where does he get that from? Where's that pramana coming from?
No pramana. Okay.
So do you want to discuss the purple prayoga, or you want to discuss this prayoga?
No. I was just mentioning this because there was.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. It's good that you mention it. Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's a general rule of thumb. General rule of thumb is have a prayoga and follow the prayoga. So if we're following this prayoga, we're following this prayoga. If I pull out the original Sakriya Sadhupika in Bengali, I'll follow that, and it's different from the Mayapur edition, because the Mayapur edition is different in some ways from the original by Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta. Even Bhaktisiddhantas and Bhaktivinods, there's some slight differences because of some typos and things like that. Okay, so again, in order to fix, either you follow that edition, or you adjust it if you know Sanskrit and get rid of all the typos and things like that. But the Mayapur edition is very different from Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhantas. The purple book is also not Satkriya Sadhupika at all, so it's something else completely, and it brings in some things from somewhere else, we don't know where exactly. So we have to choose one, and we have to follow that one. If we want to make our own prayoga, that's also possible. We can make our own prayoga, and we can take a little bit from here, a little bit from there. If we have confidence, like if we have confidence in the purple book as being authentic, then we can bring in the sweet rice factor from there, and we can then bring in the mantra factor from the Satkriya Sadhupika. If we have confidence in that. If we don't have confidence in the Mayapur edition, we can go to the original editions of Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta, check those and pull them in. But since nobody has done that, if you want to do that, or if you want somebody to do that, to make a new prayoga, taking all these things into consideration, maybe even checking the Sama Mantra Brahmana to see if the mantras are actually correct, putting in the proper swara, tone, and markings, and making sure the Vedas, the Vedic mantras are correct, making sure the Prativachanas are correct, right? Making sure all the Sandhis are correct. If you want to make a new edition like that, we can do that. But we can't do that today. That would take some time. So what we can do today is we can follow, if you've got the purple one in front of you, I have the purple one on my shelf. If you want me to pull it off my shelf to refer to it as we go through, we can. Otherwise, I'm just going to refer to this one and give notes on this one. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to pull the purple one off my shelf? And
well, let's just proceed with
yeah,
this.
you have it on you have it in front of you also. Okay, so you as we go through, you can just mention. All right, so we got to this point of the offering the mantras for the 5 life heirs. So one interesting thing I want to say about this is normally we see in different traditions, there are some slightly different traditions in different Vedas where they mention the names of the life heirs in different orders. The normal order that I've usually heard is Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. Samana coming last. Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, and Samana in that order. And I believe that that's the order that's given in Hari Bhakti Vilas. In the section in, I believe it's the 8th Vilas of Hari Bhakti Vilas, where they talk about offering food to the deity. And this is what we're doing. We're offering food to the deity. We're offering food to the fire of digestion. It's the deity of, it's Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the fire of digestion. So Krishna is the fire of digestion in each one of us. And when we eat food, we first of all offer that food to him. As a meditation on that, we do this pranahuti, or the offerings to the life heirs. And these 5 life heirs, there are actually 10 life heirs, but the other 5 are minor life heirs. These are the major life heirs. So they're normally mentioned in this order: prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. Here they've been mentioned as prana, apana, samana, which normally comes last, udana, and vyana, which is fine. I have no problem with that, because there are some Vedic traditions. Knowing different Vedic traditions, right, on this, I will say that there are some places and some people who mention the life heirs in a different order than that. Okay, so here we have these. Now, he should offer oblations. It doesn't say what oblations he should offer. I've suggested he should offer ghee and rice, whether it's Mahaprasadam or not Mahaprasadam, whether it's sweet rice or not sweet rice. It's not mentioned, and that's up to you. And they should offer to the 5 life heirs. Well, he's not offering to the 5 life heirs. He's offering in the fire, right? Because he says the Prativachanas are clear. Unless it means here he offers this to the baby. I don't think so, because later on he's going to do that with the baby. All right, correct? Yes. So this is just the fire ceremony right now. So although it's not clear, the oblations are offered into the fire, and it's not clear what the oblations are, but it's clear the mantras are here like this. The mantras, the vachanas, and the prativachanas. Okay, so all right. So we notice also they didn't mention they didn't put the dirgha sweet on the end of any swaha here, but that's okay. We're going to do it in practice. These will be as follows. So whatever we're offering into the fire, we're going to offer with these 5 mantras. Om pranaya swaha, idam pranaya idam namama, om apanaya swaha, idam apanaya idam namama, om samanaya swaha, idam samanaya idam namama, om udhanaya swaha, idam udhanaya idam namama, om vyanaya swaha, idam vyanaya idam namama. And another thing I want to mention here, when you say idam na, the M in idam should be an anushwara. There should be a dot at least over the top or underneath, depending on what system you use, of recognizing. This also should be anushwara. These also all should be anushwara. So they haven't put this is full of typos. They haven't put in the proper diacritics. Okay, so that's fine. But when this is anushwara, anushwara takes the flavor of the next letter. So the next nasal coming after Anushwara is Na, right? Dental N, right? So that this means that this M, which is actually an Anushwara, it's not an M, right? Becomes an N. It sounded like that. So when I say this mantra, I say Om Pranaya Swaha Idam Pranaya Idan Namama Idan Namama. Right? This M is pronounced like this letter, N. It because of the Sandhi. Okay? Does everybody follow that? Okay. So just be aware of that Visarga changes according to the letter that comes after it. Visarga can be pronounced in different ways, like the different nasals of the different parts of the different places, what we call stanums, or there's different parts of the alphabet which are different letters, what we call vargas, different classifications of letters according to where they're pronounced in the mouth. Okay, so you've got gutturals, palatals, cerebrals, dentals, and labials, right, which are pronounced in different parts of the mouth. And so the nasal, the pure nasal Anushwara, right, is pronounced according to what comes after it. It's flavored by what comes after it. To avoid hiatus. Hiatus means a break. To avoid a big, if you make a break, if you say idam pranaya, idam na mama, but if you say it in one go, idam pranaya, idam na mama, idam na mama, it becomes idan na mama. Okay, that's just Sandhi, Sanskrit grammar. All right, pronunciation. All right, so we've got here. I went through all those mantras. Fine. So he offers those 5 into the fire. It's interesting that they put these forward slashes at the end of they use forward slash instead of a vertical dunda, which is used in Devanagari script to indicate a forward slash will indicate a comma here, and 2 forward slashes the end of a period or the end of a verse. So actually this one is incorrect. This should also be just one. If they're indicating a dunda here, this should be a single dunda, not a double dunda, because this is not a verse, right? If it's a verse, then yes, you put a double dunda at the end, and you put single dundas at the other places where you breathe. But in fact, you're also going to be breathing here, in between the vachana and the pranivachana. So in a proper edition, they should probably put a dash here, a forward slash here, 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 and this double should be a single. That would be correct, right? If we're using a single forward slash to mean a comma or a short break in breath, then we should use a double one as a longer break in breath. That's fine. Then those are all fine, except that they should have them also here in front of the prativa instead of the vachanas also. Yeah? Okay. And then probably they should be consistent and have it with all the other mantras as well, but they're not consistent. So they've done it in some places and not done it in other places. I'm just telling you it's very I'm just trying to be technical here and explain all the faults that I see with this edition. It has obviously some good characteristics also, and probably it's the only thing that we have pretty much, unless we want to make a better edition, which somebody may want to make a better edition. Personally, I'm not. I don't know if I have time to put into making a better edition of this text. But anyway, whatever. He should then perform Vyasta Samasta Mahavyarti Homa. So just as we had up here at the beginning, we're also going to do Vyasta Samasta Mahavyarti Homa. What do we remember about that? We remember that Vyasta Samasta Mahavyarti Homa means is making a break between a Pradhana Homa and the next Pradhana Homa, or the next part of the Homa, maybe the end, the Udicha Karma, the last part, the Antarangam, or the Prayaschitta Homa, whatever is coming afterwards. So when we make a break between different parts of the Homa, we do Mahavyarti Homa. And it can be done easily, you know, if you've got no time, then don't say the pradhivachanas, just go Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Sva Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, finished. Quick. And if you want to, you can say the pradhivachanas and you can say like here, Om Bhuva Swaha, Idam Vishnave, Idam Namama, Om Bhuva Swaha, Idam Machudaya, Idam Namama, Om Sva Swaha, Idam Narayana, Idam Namama, Om Bhurva Swaha, Idam Manantaya, Idam Namama. It may be that the Pradivachana is there in the Satkriya. I could look it up. When I come to think of it, maybe the Pradivachanas are mentioned in Satkriya Sadhipika. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. In any case, it's not. These are not the usual Prativachanas for Vyasa Samasta Mahavyarti Homa. We don't usually have to always say Vyasa Samasta. It's just Mahavyarti Homa. Enough. But normally there are different names of devatas which are said here. There's Vishnu, Achyuta, Narayana, and Ananta. But in actual Pancharatra, they don't use those names. They use their names of devatas. These are Vedic. These are Vedic. This Vyarti Homa is a Vedic type of Homa, and they don't use those names of Vishnu in them. Okay, so after this is finished, we throw. Yeah, I would say place ghee-soaked wood of 1 pradesh. Remember we said 1 pradesh is between the thumb and the extended little finger of wood. Ghee-soaked. Like I said, you don't have to totally soak the wood. You just take the piece of wood in your hand, right hand, dip it in the bowl of ghee, dip one end in the bowl of ghee, and then put it in the fire silently. Then perform all the rites up of Udicha Karma, which is given on page 189. We can go through that if you want. Beginning with Satyayana Homa, ending up with the Vamadeva Ganam. Okay, whatever. That's a Samaveda Ganam. If you know that, I'm not sure. Then after you finish that, then you should actually feed the child. So you get the child. Normally, the child will be either on the father's lap or will be on the mother's lap, and the father will feed the child. If the father doesn't want to do it, even the priest can do it. But usually the father or the mother, they'll feed the child. The father should feed the child normally, right? So here's the mantras for feeding the child, right? So they're going to include these mantras that we just put into the fire, the prana hutis, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, but maybe not in that order, in the same order that was probably given before. I just gave it in the usual order with samana at the end, prana, starting with prana and ending with samana. And there's going to be some sloka before that, some mantra before that, and apparently it comes from Shukla Yajurveda. So this is very easy to look up. So we can look up these mantras in Shukla Yajurveda. Shukla Yajurveda would be either Kanva Shaka in South India or Madhyandina Shaka in North India. I would tend to believe that this is following the North Indian Madhyandina Vajrasanaya Samhita. So we can look up very easily that. We have I could look it up. I'll look it up now, but let's just first go through the mantras and then let's look it up and see if they're actually there. Om Achyuta Anapaten Nasya, and when there's an avagraha here, this is a little comma which is put in English. It means that there's a letter missing, usually an A, which is missing, a short A, sometimes a long A. It means anasya. Anasya means of food, right, or of rice. Om Achyuta Anapate Anasya, or Achyuta Anapatenyasya, no dehi. Dehi, the Y could be an I without the sandhi. So if you're going to break it at that point, you would say no dehi, but you can say, which means don't give to me. Dehi means to give. No means naha, means give us grains. Okay, it doesn't mean no. No means naha. Okay, so no dehyan namish ivasya shushminaha, break, comma, pradataram tarisha, ujam no dehi dvipade chatuspade swaha. Right? Dvipade means two-legged persons. That means human beings, and chatuspade means animals. Right? No dehi means give us. Right. So there's this mantra here. And then, so they say swaha here. And then again they say Om Pranaya Swaha. So this is two oblations into the child. Now we're feeding the child. So my opinion on this is that there should be one oblation into the child, and then there's no need for a swaha here. It should be, if you're going to say something, say that, and then say Om Pranaya Swaha, and then feed the child one time. But the way it's written here, it seems like you're going to feed the child two times because Swaha is mentioned twice. So that's unclear in this prayoga. So do whatever you want. Feed the child each time you say Swaha, or feed the child after saying Pranaya Swaha. Okay, so there's the translation, and it comes from Shukla Yajurveda 1183. Let's go to the next one. Next one is Om Janardana Anapate Krinuta Anam, and they put an indication here over the Annam, a tonal indication that seems to mean that it has a Dirgha Swarita. That will be Annam, Annam, right? Dehi no Piyusharasaktam te tenanam, again. Yad yuge no dehi dvipade chatuspade swaha om apanaya swaha. And again, feed the child either once or twice according to your prayoga and your procedure.
It might be that there we have also a mistake, because no na comes after dehi, but in all other mantras and also in the purple one we have no before dehi.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting point. The point I'd like to make is that in Sanskrit, word order doesn't mean anything. There's only a few little rules about word order in Sanskrit. So, but normally, usually, word order doesn't mean anything. So no dehi or dehi no is the same thing. However, I would notice here that no followed by P, like this, is a wrong sandhi. So if this is the correct mantra, this would be dehi naha. Dehi naha, and actually the aha would be an upadmaniya. It would be an F sound. So it would be dehi naf piyushara if it was correct Sanskrit. But it's obviously not correct Sanskrit. And so therefore, it's not the fact that dehi no comes after dehi, which is a problem, but it's the fact that no is no and not naha. It should be naha. So I would say that this is incorrect Sanskrit, and I would be very doubtful that this is in the Veda like this. But maybe, sometimes the Veda breaks some of the rules of Panini, so we can go look and see in the Veda, in the actual Veda, the way it is. Okay, but your comment that no coming after dehi is not correct. No can come after dehi. Anything can come before or after anything, pretty much. Normally, the only rule is that when you have an adjective and a noun, that usually the adjectives come closer to the noun that they describe than to other nouns. But even then, you can make interpretations in Sanskrit where an adjective is far away from a noun, but yet still means that noun, describes that noun. Okay, so anyway, that's just a grammatical point. So dehi no, I have no problem with dehi no being the same as no dehi, except the fact that when it follows, when P follows, it shouldn't be no. It should be naha, which is the same thing. Okay, so then we have this one, apanaya swaha. Then Om Lakshmi Narayana Anapati annam amritam no dehi kamala samshritam, comma, te bhuktam shesham no dehi dvipade chatuspade swaha, right? Om samanaya swaha, and again feed the child either once or twice according to your prayoga. Om anapate yagyam anam adiyagyam tvadyam no dehi sarvam durlabam manushyam vai suddhayutam, comma, no dehi no dvipade chatuspade swaha, om udhanaya swaha, again feed the child. Om anapate janardana sadrasam amrita siktam niveditam te sad anam no dehi kilbisa paham dehi no dvipade chatuspade swaha om vyanaya swaha, and again feed the child, right? Then it says, after the Anaprasana ceremony, which means, I guess, we're finished now, right? He should give as much dakshina as possible, right? Normally in a prayoga, the word yata shakti is used. Yata shakti, with as much force as he has, he should give dakshina as much as possible to all the initiated Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnava Brahmins. Okay, so I would say first and foremost, the yajamana or the sponsor has to give dakshina to the priest if he has a priest. However, here, this prayoga seems to indicate that the father is doing all of this. The father is acting as his own priest, which is completely fine and completely possible. The father is a Brahmin. If the father is a knowledgeable priest, he can do it himself, or he can hire another priest to do it. Even if he's a priest, a domestic priest, he can hire another priest to do it for him, and he can just be the yajamana or the sponsor. In any case, the dakshina is given, first of all, by the sponsor to the first person who gets dakshina is the priest. And the priest is rewarded handsomely for performing the ceremony. Then, if he wants to give other people who are sitting there, initiated Vaishnavas and other Vaishnava Brahmanas or whatever, people sitting there, other Brahmins, money, if he wants to give them some gifts, that is not really dakshina because they haven't done anything for him. That is what we call dana. There's a difference between dana and dakshina. Dana means charity, and he can certainly give charity. The yajamana or the sponsor can certainly give charity to all those who are present, but that is not dakshina. So normally when we use the word dakshina or sambhavana, that is the sacrificial fee which is offered to the guru or to the main priest, or and also to the paricharakas or ritviks, the assistant priests, right? So there'll be a main priest called a deshika or a brihaspati, or sometimes he's called a purohita, and then he has got his assistants. So if these people are assistants, yes, they also get what is called dakshina or sambhavana. If they're not assistants, if they're just attending the ceremony, but they're auspicious people, they are sumangalis, they are married ladies with sons who are very auspicious, or they are initiated Vaishnavas or Brahmanas, right? Then they are accorded some they're accorded some degree of honor or maryada. In Sanskrit, we say maryada means honor. Sometimes you'll hear the word maryada used by Gaudiya Vaishnavas as pride, but actually it means honor. So when you go to a temple or when you are at a ceremony and you're honored at a ceremony, when you arrive at the ceremony, there'll be certain honors that they give you. Maybe they give you a token. They might offer you some sandalwood paste to put on your chest or your arms or your neck in the case of a woman. Or they might offer you some sweet, or they might offer you a garland, or they might offer you something, and then when you leave, they offer you something else. Like in India, when you go to any of these ceremonies, these samskaras, when you arrive, there'll be a table, and there'll be, there'll be some sandalwood paste mixed with rose water, and you just dip your fingers in like that, and the ladies put a little on their neck, and the men on the chest if they're, shirtless, on the arms like that, and you just make yourself fragrant like that, and they might give you something. They might give you a panda chew or something. They might give you some other snack, or they might send you to have a whole meal or something like that. They might give you something in the beginning, or when you choose a priest and the assistant priest, the Brihaspati, the Purohit, the Deshika, the main priest, or the Ritviks, the Paricharakas, the assistant priests. You give them, first of all, you give them a very small token. So you just might give them some clothes, a new sacred thread, a couple of, $1 or one pound or €1, and then, some betel nuts and leaves and some akshata or something like that. In the beginning, it's a token. You don't want them to be totally satisfied and leave and not do the ceremony. So you give them that as a token in the beginning, and then at the end, you fully satisfy them to yata shakti, up with all your means. You give them dakshina or sambhavana at the end if they've actually participated in the ceremony. If they haven't participated in the ceremony, if they're just sitting there and they're attending, but their attendance is also holy, they're Vaishnavas or Sumangalis or Brahmins, then you will give them also, the ladies, they give a piece of cloth, blouse piece, that they can make into a choli later on, or they might give them a small container, stainless steel container, or something. They give some token gifts to the people when they're leaving. Give him a coconut. Sometimes they have a little bag, like a little gift bag, like when people go to the Academy Awards in Hollywood. They all get these gift bags, and the companies all put they put an iPhone and they put different things in there for them. It's a celebrity, so they're given a lot of free perks. So when people go to these ceremonies in India too, they also give them a gift bag, the nice puja bag with a coconut and some bananas and some betel nuts, and it might be some money in there also, and some different things. And this is, of course, also after they're fed at the end too, with prasadam, which is going to be mentioned here too. So that's for the regular Brahmins. Also, when you start a ceremony, you do the Sabha Anugya. Sabha Anugya. Sabha means the association of devotees, the assembled devotees, the assembled Brahmanas and Sumangalis or whatever. And you take permission from them. Namasarase, namasarasaspadaye, namasakinam, puroganam, chakshuse. And at the end of that mantra, you say, Sri Vaishnavebhyo Namaha or Brahmanebhyo Namaha, and you throw some akshata on everybody and just offer mantrakshata. Mantrakshata means that rice mixed with turmeric or kumkum a little bit, colored rice, and mantras are said over it, auspicious mantras, and you throw it. And the potency of the mantra is supposed to go into the rice, and therefore by the rice touching those persons, that gives them the blessing like that. And you take and the beginning, Sabha Anugya means permission. You take permission from those people to start the ceremony. And at the end, you offer Ashivadam. First of all, the priest is going to offer Ashivadam. The priest or priests, right, and his assistants are going to offer a blessing. Ashivadam means blessing, to the sponsor, the Yajamana and his family. So Yajamanasya, Sakutumbasya, the Kutumbasya is the family. And he will offer onto the heads of these people and he'll give a a benediction, like Dirghayusham Baba, live a long life, Ayu Arogyam Aishwaryam Abhivridyatam Dhanam Dhanam Prati, may you have many children and whatever, all this kind of stuff. And so they'll give some sort of benediction like that, and that'll be the end. That'll be at the end. But other people who have just attended, they can also give blessings to the sponsor too. But here it's mentioned that they're giving dakshina to everybody, but they don't give dakshina. This is actually not correct the way it's written here. You don't give dakshina to everybody, right? all the attendants. You give dakshina or sambhavana to the people who perform the ceremony. The people who attend the ceremony, they're also auspicious. It's part of the performance in a sense, because they're there to lend moral support, lend community and social support to the ceremony, because it's a social thing. Samskara is a social thing. So society's involved in this. So they're lending social support. The members of your Vaishnava community are lending social support to this. So they're also coming there. So their support should also be accepted, and that we should take their permission in the beginning. And at the end, we should also bless them by giving them something that is not considered to be dakshina or sambhavana, but is dana. It is charity. So there's a difference between dana, charity, and dakshina, or sacrificial fee. Okay, so he should then serve prasadam. He meaning here the prayoga is the father, right? And the father, if he's getting it catered, obviously he has the caterers come in and serve out prasadam like that. So he should serve prasadam to all the guests. Maybe if he's a very humble person, even if he's a rich man, maybe he'll even personally serve the guests. So that's very nice. He should serve the prasadam to all the guests, devotees, and all other living entities. Okay, so that's very interesting that they put here other living entities. Okay, normally the other living entities eat later, except in the situation where we do the Pancha Mahayagnas every day before we eat. We're going to offer some food before we eat. As a householder, we have to offer to the different living entities like crows and dogs and things like that. There's a certain system of doing that called Vaishvadeva. First the Devatas and then different people. That's a whole other discussion, and that's not what we're discussing here. But anyway, then we've noticed there's a spelling mistake here, 2 F's in after. Okay, so anyway, after Anaprasanam, right, means after the ceremony, one may perform, and this, and by the word may, obviously they mean it's optional. One may perform the putra murda bigranam, right, which means smelling of the child's head by the father. The mother can do it too, why not? Other relatives could also do it. Children's heads smell good, hopefully. If the child is clean, hopefully it smells good. But they usually, on the top of the head, they just take a sniff like this. And it's a type of affectionate thing that is done. Now, also note there's a spelling mistake here. C-A-L-E-D means C-A-L-L-E-D, call. Okay, so there's a system for doing this. This is not samskara in its own right, but it's just a subsidiary thing. We might also note that there are some regional differences in the anaprasana. Sometimes after the anaprasana is performed, they will allow the child to choose between shastras and money, and even sometimes they put some other items there indicating the caste of the child. Whether the child is a Brahmin, he'll go for the shastra, or whether he's a Vaishya, he'll go for the money. Or Kshatriya, maybe he'll go for the weapon, maybe a bow and arrow, or I don't know, maybe in America it'll be a gun. They'll be crawling towards the gun. Who knows? So there'll be some things like this. These are all not part of the Vedic samskaras, but these are all sort of regional customary things, what we call sistachar, things that people have done in the community for donkey's years, many years ago. They've done this sort of thing, and it's just an indication of sort of a fun little thing that is done. And we shouldn't take it as being too literally true, but some people do this. They like to do this. I know in ISKCON they like to have the child crawl towards a certain thing like that, and they're all very happy if he crawls towards the Bhagavatam, and if he crawls towards the money, then they're also happy. So in another way. So whatever it is, so that hasn't been mentioned here because that's not there in Sakriya Sargipika, because that's not really part of that ceremony. It's not really part of the samskara, but I'm just mentioning it here at the end. Now, if we wanted to go back, so are there any questions or comments at this point that we've finished? We've finished going through the samskara as it's written here in the Mayapur edition. We did not discuss any of the preliminaries or any of the side issues like Vasudeva Archana, Sattvika Vritti Shraddha. What are they? Let's just have a look and see what the things that we missed out was. We didn't mention about Vasudeva Archana, which is Shalagram Puja to start with. We didn't mention about Sattvika Vriddhi Shraddha. What to speak of before Vasudeva Archana, there's the whole Mangala Charanam, there's the whole Adivasa, if you really want to do that thing. Depending on how many hours you want this to stretch out for, most people want it to get it done within an hour, let's say. So probably whether you want to do it over 2 or 3 days, if you've got a yajamana or a sponsor who's very wealthy and he really wants to celebrate this in a big way, you could also stretch it out and you could do everything that you want to. The Kusandika rites or Agnimukham, starting the fire, we didn't touch on. We didn't also then explain about the Udicha Karma, the last part that comes after the Pradhana Homa, the main Homa, and before the feeding of the child, right? And it says here up to the Vamadeva Gana, which I believe is even after the Vaisnava Homa. So that would include quite a lot. So what I would do, okay, let me just say what I would do. Basically, if I was doing it and I was trying to do something not taking all day, because I have limited time, I would do a Mangala Charanam, make it as short and quick as possible. Get through that. Do the Kusandika, start the fire, do all the main Pradhana Homas, then do everything, including up to and finishing with, Vaishnava Homa, or it says here, end with Vamadeva Ganam. Then feed the child. If the parents want to do the child crawling towards this or that, if the child's able to crawl, because maybe at 6 or 8 months, maybe they're not even able to crawl at this point. So, but if they're able to crawl, maybe they are, probably they are. So if they want to do that little ceremony after that, then we do that. And then finish with dakshina and a blessing. And then have prasadam, have kirtan first, and then have prasadam. And that would be it. And that would be the way I would do it. Now, if there's any questions or comments, or anybody wants to go specifically, we still have time. We can go specifically to some of these other parts of the ceremony, the Kushandika or the Udicha Karma, the beginning and end of the fire ceremony, or the Vasudeva Archana, which is the Shalagam Shila worship in the beginning, or the Sattvika Vriddhi Shraddha, or the, what else was it? The beginning there, Sattvika Vriddhi Shraddha, or the, that's it, basically, Sattvika Vriddhi Shraddha. And, or the Mangala Charanam even. And if you want, just before I finish, I can actually look up we were going to look up in the Vajrasaneya Samhita these mantras here, because I also doubt very much whether these mantras are there in the Shukti Yajurveda. So let's just give me 1 second. I'll look in the concordance, Vedic concordance, and we'll look for, let's put Dvipade. Whoops, Dvipade, which comes, there's 23 mentions of Dvipade in the Veda, right? And with Chatuspade after it, which Dvipade, Chatuspade comes 11 times. So, let's see, let's just go through them quickly, one by one. And I'll just stop the share there right now. If anybody has any questions or comments, you can just, while I'm looking, you can just ask those questions and comments. I'm just looking through the concordance and looking for mentions in the Vajrasaneya Samhita, which is Shukti Yajurveda, North Indian Shukti Yajurveda usually, we would think, of the Dvipade Chatuspade mantra, just to see if it's there in the Rig Veda. That's good, but it's not the same one.
Question.
Yeah, keep going. Who is it?
Today didn't I those. So today I found out that Yajamanas are not vegetarian. So
okay.
We performed and
but do they eat rice?
But
they eat solid food though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that the ceremony is to feed the child solid food.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't say feed the. So we don't have to worry about whether we're feeding them vegetarian or non-vegetarian food, because in the samskar we're going to feed them only vegetarian food.
So because just I think in this Mayapur Gurukul, it was mentioned that if the parents are not vegetarian and if they are not going to feed the child vegetarian food after the ceremony, then we shouldn't do the fire sacrifice.
Why?
So what is your comment on that?
Why?
It doesn't say why.
Okay. So whenever somebody says to me something, I say, why? Give me a reason. Give me either, what do we follow? Either give me a sensible reason that I can understand with my senses, or a logical reason, or a shastric pramana, something that says in the shastra, or something that's said by some great saint about that. Some authority has made a pronouncement like that. Who is that authority, and what has he said? Do you have anybody? Do you have anything like that? No. I don't see where this. I'm looking through here and I don't see this mantra in the. Oh, here it is. Vajrasaneya Samhita. Okay, 1648. And what did we say it was? Let me just go back to the original.
Shukla Yajurveda.
Yeah. Does it say? Hang on.
1183.
1183. Just hold on for 1 minute. I'm going to grab my Shukla Yajurveda off the shelf and look it up. Okay, I'm back. There it is, Yajurveda. Right? We're going to look it up. So tell me the verse number,
1183.
1183. Okay. Okay, so let's look at it here. Okay, so 1183 of the Shukla Yajurveda. Let's look again at the. I'll share the screen again, and I've highlighted the verse. There we go. There's the verse. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the 1183 of the Vajrasaneya Samhita Madhyandina Shaka Shukla Yajurveda is Anapateyanasya. Okay, so here what they've done is they've added Om Achyuta. Let's see, Anapate Anasya, no, Dehyanamish Ivasya, Shushminaha, Dataram, Tarisha, Urjam, no, Dehi, Dvipade, Chatuspade. Okay. Dvipade, Chatuspade. Okay, so except for, I would say, I'm going to say here, and the next one is, the next one, they don't say where the next one comes from. Anapatekun. Let me just look in the same sutta if it's there. We can look up the other ones as well. But that's, I'll do that later. But there you go. So the addition here is that they've added the word achyuta. And I would say they added the word Janardana here, and they add the word Lakshmi Narayana here, and here, I don't know if they add any words here. But since they don't say where it's from, we can't look it up, except we can look it up. I can look it up in the concordance, which tells me all the words in the Veda. So, okay. Anapate Janardana. I don't believe that's a Vedic mantra. Anapate Janardana. Maybe unless Anapate Janardana is added and the mantra actually starts Sadrasam. Okay, anyhow, we get the idea. You get the idea that in Sakriya Sardipika, what they've done is they've taken some Vedic mantras and they've added names of Krishna usually to make them more, what they consider to be more acceptable for Vaishnavas. Yeah? An actual fact, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but it's the opinion of many, many people, is that every word of the Veda, Krishna says, I am the Vedas. I am the Veda. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So Krishna also says that, so every word, there's an idea, there's a theory, there's a doctrine in Vaishnavism, that every word of the Veda actually means Krishna. We can see this very clearly in Prabhupada's translation of Isa-Upanishad. In the very last verse, which starts like this, Agnenaya Supataraya Yasman Vishvani Deva Vaivani Vidvan, right? Okay, so Agne means, oh Agni. Prabhupada does not translate it as, oh fire. He does not translate it as, oh demigod Agni. But he translates it as, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is powerful like fire. So we know from Vishnu Sahasranama that Agni is a name of Vishnu. So the original and the most important meaning of every word is Vishnu, is Krishna. Krishna is the meaning behind every word. So every word means Krishna, actually. So even if we say Shiva, Shiva means Krishna, because Shiva, Sharva Shiva Stanur in Vishnu Sahasranama. Shiva means auspicious. Who's the most auspicious? Oh, Shiva, Maheshwara Shiva, the Devata, he may be auspicious, but who's the most auspicious? The most auspicious is Krishna. So the essential meaning of every word is Krishna. And so therefore, by all the Vedas I am to be known. So there really is no need to change any of the Vedas. Even parts of the Vedas like Rudram and Chamakam, which are normally chanted to Shiva and to Durga, they're used in Shiva and Durga Puja. They are also learned by Vaishnavas and chanted by Vaishnavas. In fact, Rudram is used for worship of Narasimha. And Chamakam is used in the fire ceremony at the end. For many people use it for the what do you call it? When the ghee flows continuously into the fire. It's a part of Vudicha karma. Anyway, I forget. It's not on the top of my head right now. I can't think of it. Okay, so many people use that mantra for that. Aschame, Tayaschame, Kritaschame, whatever it is. So by every word of the Veda, Krishna is known. So we can chant any Vedic mantra, any mantra in the Veda we can chant. And people may say, oh no, that's a prayer to a demigod. No, it's the direct meaning, the basic meaning is to Krishna. So here what they've done is they've thought, well, these Veda mantras don't sound all that Vaishnavic or Krishna conscious. So maybe we should add a few direct names like Janardana, Achyuta, and Lakshmi Narayana to them, to make them sound more Krishna conscious. Okay, that's their strategy in Sakriya Sardipika, which is fine if people want to do that. But I tell you, it's not necessary at all. You go to samskaras all the time, people chant Vedic mantras, Vaishnavas chant Vedic mantras, and even if we chant Agneyanaya Subhadaraya Yasman, right? We're not thinking of Agni, the Devata Agni. We're not thinking of the demigod Agni. We're thinking of the Supreme Personality who's powerful like fire. That's the primary meaning of Agni or Agne. So, okay, so anyway, that's just something I wanted to mention because, sometimes people think, well, all these Vedic mantras, they don't mention Krishna, so why should we chant them? Right? Well, I'd rather chant Hare Krishna. But actually the Vedic mantras, like Hare Krishna, although when we chant Hare Krishna, we think more directly of Krishna, usually. But the Vedic mantras also mean Krishna. They're all prayers to Krishna also. So we shouldn't think that they're not prayers to Krishna. They are prayers to Krishna. And the Vedas are sacred mantras. So there's no, it's not that when we chant Vedic mantras, they're only mantras to demigods, I think, or to even inanimate elements of like fire. We shouldn't think like that. That's the way the Indologists think. That's not the, or the Hindus, but that's not the way the Vaishnavas think. The Vaishnavas don't think like that. Okay, so we did find some of those mantras in the Vajrasaneya Samhita. Now that brings up the point: if they're in the Shukla Yajurveda Samhita, why are we then chanting them according to? Why are we trying to chant them as Krishna Yajurvedis? Because they're not in Krishna Yajurveda; they're in Shukla Yajurveda. So maybe probably a Krishna Yajurvedi wouldn't perform this ceremony this way. And it also brings up the point: if this is supposed to be a Samaveda, ceremony, why are they using mostly Shukla Yajurveda mantras? That also brings up the point like that. So we have to do a lot more investigation of those things. I'm not prepared to make a whole judgment on that right now, but to me it looks like more of a Shukla Yajurveda style samskara than a Samveda style samskara. Samveda, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Rig Veda is the biggest Veda Samhita, and in the Rig Veda Samhita, many of those mantras from the Rig Veda Samhita are taken into the Samaveda, and they just given more tones, different tones. So in the three Vedas, in the Rig Veda, in the Yajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda, they have three tones. They have a low tone, a medium tone, and a high tone. But in the Samaveda, they have 7 tones, which correspond to the 7 pitches in the 7 tones in music. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, which is exactly the same as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti that we say in English. I'm not sure what they say in other languages, Western languages, but there are these notes that people talk about, and it's the same. In India, they call them sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, and they have meanings. Each sa means something, re means something. So these have these 7 notes. It originally comes from the Samaveda, 7 swaras. It's called Sapta Swara, or 7 tones. So Samaveda is Sapta Swara. It can also be chanted with less swaras, but sometimes the speciality of the Samaveda priests is that they can chant it in that way with 7 pitches like that. So even Purusha Sukta can be chanted like that. According to the Samaveda, Purusha Sukta can be chanted like that. Because Purusha Sukta, being a very important part of the Veda, it comes in all the different Veda Samhitas. So you can chant it Atharva Veda style, Rig Veda style, Krishna Yajurveda style, Samaveda style, Shukla Yajurveda style. It can be chanted in all these different styles because it's there. Whereas the mantras that we came across were in Shukla Yajurveda, Madhyandini, and they weren't in Krishna Yajurveda. So normally I would think a person who's following Krishna Yajurveda would do a samskara with more mantras from his branch of the Veda. You might have some mantras from some other parts, but normally you would use more in yours. To get back to your idea about the Yajamana is a non-vegetarian. Okay. Non-vegetarians have to get married. Non-vegetarians, they have to have ceremonies too. These people, whoever they are approaching a priest to sanctify that part of their life that they feel needs sanctifying. So sinners, we all commit sin, right? Living in this body, we commit sin. Living in this life, we commit sin. Sinners are more in need of spirituality than people who are saints. So I think that certainly, now there may be some rules. I'm not saying that there aren't some rules in scriptures about who is qualified to do a ceremony, to do a particular ceremony, or be part of a particular ceremony. Once you get into all those little rules, probably what you're going to do is exclude everybody from samskaras. People who are not virgins cannot be married with mantra, according to the Smriti Shastra. People who are, I'm not just talking about the women, I'm talking about the men. I'm talking people who are not performing Sandhya Vandana, who are not Dvijas and have not taken Upanayanam, have no right. They are considered completely impure and have no right to any samskara. According to Varnashrama Dharma rules, and I'm not talking about Daivi Varnashrama, I'm talking about regular, run-of-the-mill, Manu Samhita, following the Dharma Shastras and other 18 Smritis. According to those Smritis, one has to have Upanayanam and has to be male, right, to perform certain rituals, right? The wife can also perform certain rituals along with the husband. Otherwise, for the Shudras, the persons who have not taken Upanayanam, who have not been given the Gayatri Mantra, have not been purified by chanting of Sandhya Vandanam, right? Or the fallen Dvijas, those Dvijas who don't practice, they've taken Upanayanam, but they're not practicing Dvijas, right? For those persons, no samskara, no right. They're ever impure. There's a sloka in Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is a very common sloka, quoted also in by Sri Vaishnavas, quoted also by Madhvas, quoted by all Hindus, even, not just Vaishnavas, which says, one who doesn't perform Sandhya Vandanam is ever impure and is not fit for any other ceremony. Any other ceremony means any other Vedic ceremony. Here we're talking about samskaras, we're talking about Vedic ceremony. For other people, there are other types of ceremonies. So it's possible for such persons to do Puranic ceremonies, to do Agamic ceremonies, but not to do Vedic ceremonies. So if somebody comes to you and says, I want a Vedic vivaha, I want a Vedic wedding, right? If you really want a Vedic wedding, with all the mantras and all the things, that you have to qualify for that according to the Smritis, according to the Varnashram Smritis. Normally, today, all around the world, in priests, mostly the Indian priests and even other priests, they don't take into consideration people's qualifications, where they just say, okay, we'll do a wedding for you. Yes, you want a Vedic wedding, we'll do that wedding for you. We consider ourselves to be qualified to do it, and we consider you qualified to participate in it. But I'm telling you, if you actually go by the book, the Varnashram books like Manu and all these Smritis, neither I am qualified to do it, neither they are qualified to be in it. According to, if we go strictly by the rules, you lose your caste according to Manu if you do not stand while you chant Gayatri Mantra in the morning, and you do not sit while chanting Gayatri Mantra in the evening. It's that detailed, okay? And I could quote to you many, many rules where you lose your caste. Many, many minor rules. We don't know. When a yajamana comes to us, when a sponsor comes to us, all we know is that that person wants to sanctify his life in some way. It is up to us to try to help him to do that in the best way, in the least. If there's some rule or something, we want to try to bend the rules without breaking them. Especially, we don't want to commit offensive. We don't want to do something which is offensive, but we also want to help that person somehow to purify their lives, because samskara means to purify their life. So let's help people purify their lives. So we have to perhaps bend some rules or overlook some rules, sometimes some small rules, in order to do these things. Or there are some books which have been written specifically with this in mind by people in the past in Sanskrit. Sudra Prayoga, there are prayogas for Sudras. Now, why would there be a prayoga for a Sudra? Because in Manu, in the Dharma Shastras, Smritis, according to Varnashram, there's no samskaras for Sudras. There's no samskaras for Sudras. So now everybody in Kali Yuga is born a Sudra. So it means there's no samskaras for people. So what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Chaitanya Shikshamrita, he says, if you want to reintroduce Varnashram, if you want to reintroduce a cultured society, then you have to, first of all, reintroduce samskaras. How do you reintroduce samskaras if you don't, first of all, make the people qualified for the samskaras? So what's the qualification for samskaras? The first qualification is Upanayanam. Gayatri Mantra, Sandhya Vandanam, like that. So that's why probably if I were writing a samskara manual right now, instead of starting with starting with Garbhadan, instead of starting with Vivaha, right? Instead of starting with the impregnation ceremony, which most ritual texts start with, or instead of starting with the wedding, which is what the Sakriya Sadhupika starts, I would start with the Upanayana. That's the very first thing. And that's what ISKCON starts with. That's what the Gaudiya Vaishnavas start with. They say, okay, first of all, become a Vaishnava. Get initiated, purify yourself. That purificatory ceremony of Vaishnava Diksha purifies the person. Tapa Pundra Tato Nama Mantro Yagasya Panchamaha. Panchamaha, Pancha Samskara. These 5 things are going to purify you. Tapa, meaning wearing neck beads or wearing, the Shankha Chakra branded on the body. Somehow or other, sipping Panchagavya, the 5 products of the cow, purify your body in that way. Tapa, Pundra, wearing the Vaishnava Tilak. Sorry, I'm not wearing any today. Vaishnava Tilak. It's very early in the morning here. I haven't taken bath yet. So, wearing the Urdhva Pundra, the 12 tilaks or 13 tilaks all over the body, representing Vishnu and Lakshmi or Krishna. That also purifies the body. Tapa Pundra, Tato Nama, having a spiritual name, adopting a name as a servant of God. Krishna Dasa, Keshava Dasa, like this. Tapa Pundra Tato Nama, Mantro, hearing the Vaishnava mantra, the purificatory Vaishnava mantra like Gopa mantra or Astakshara mantra from the Acharya. Tapa Pundra Tato Nama, Mantra Yagascha, surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, realizing that we are not actually belonging to ourselves. We are not this body, we're a spirit soul, and that soul, that Atman, is subservient to the Supreme Atman, the Supreme Paramatman, Sriman Narayana Krishna. And our position is to serve him as a faithful slave. We are his property. That mentality, taking up that mentality, the mentality in the Ramayana that Rama says, Sakrideva Prapannaya Tavasmi, I am yours, O Rama. I am yours, O God. O Krishna, I am yours. I am not mine. I'm not a servant that you have to pay. I am a slave. I'm a refugee at your feet. I'm taking shelter of you. That is yaga. That is the 5th samskara. All those things going together to make Pancha Samskara or Vaishnava initiation, which purifies the person up to the point of which he can then transcend the normal rules of Varnashram Dharma, which says that he should be born in a certain caste, and he should only take that if he's male and of a high caste, then he can only approach the Vedas. But by purifying ourselves with that Vaishnava initiation, we become so pure at that point that we are then able to access the Vedas and other samskaras, Vedic samskaras. So then we take Upanayanam. Next step will be to take Upanayanam after ordinary Vaishnava initiation. It's not ordinary, it's very special actually. And purifying ourselves in that way, the next purification would be to approach the Vedas by taking the Gayatri mantra at least, which is the essence of the Vedas, Omkara, right? And purifying ourselves in that way. And then we are competent to perform and be part of and to accept also Vedic samskaras. So in this case, okay, we have somebody who's a meat eater, maybe they're not a vegetarian person like that. So probably for them, how can we say that they're pure enough to perform a Vedic ceremony? Well, in India also there are many people who are non-vegetarian, still they perform Vedic ceremonies. And in fact, even in the Vedic ceremonies, there are some Vedic ceremonies that involve animal sacrifice. There's a Ashvamedha. Ashvamedha means a horse sacrifice. Gomedha. Now, specifically, there are 5 things in Kali Yuga which are forbidden. Gomedha, cow sacrifice, is forbidden. Right? There's also I don't know if anybody's ever done it, but in the Vedas, there's a thing called Purusha Meda, human sacrifice. And not only cow sacrifice, human sacrifice. So there's a statement in the Smritis that in Kali Yuga, Gomeda Shrameda Cha, so cow and horse sacrifice are forbidden. It's forbidden to offer meat to the forefathers in the Shraddha ceremony. It's forbidden for a widow to approach her brother, to her brother-in-law, to beget a child from her if her husband has died, right? And what's the fifth one? Taking sannyas is also forbidden. This is the forbidden thing. Okay, so that's a whole other discussion whether sannyas is possible or not possible in Kali Yuga. There may be a slightly different form of sannyas that the Vaishnavas take than the original Vedic form of sannyas, and that may be possible to take, or somebody may be taking a different type of sannyas like Chetra sannyas or whatever. We all may be considered sannyas in a sense if we surrender to God, because the word nyasa, nyasa means to place. Samnyasa means to deposit or to place, right? Sannyasa means to place, right? So we're all placing ourselves at the feet of God. That's what sannyasa actually means. Sannyas means to place, or to place the burden of our sins on God through the acharya. So in a sense, we're all sannyasis, but not in the general sense of the word. Just like in the sense we're all smartas because we follow Smriti a little bit, follow Smriti Shastra, right? Right? Shruti Smriti Paranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vida. We follow Smriti, Shruti Smriti Paranadi. So we follow Pancharatra. We follow these Shastras. So if you follow Smriti, you're called a smarta. So we're all followers of Smriti to a certain extent, not completely. We're all we're all sannyasis because we are all surrendered to God. We follow that. Nyasa Vidya is an Upanishadic system for realizing Brahman. Anybody who's a spiritual aspirant is a sannyasi, basically. Anybody who is interested in Brahman, the Supreme Spirit, is a Brahmana, right? Okay, so the etymology of all these words means that we are all these things in a sense. Strictly speaking, in the Vanashram, Manu Smrita, and other Smriti senses, we're not any of those things. In the Vaishnav sense of the thing, we are, because we purify ourselves through samskara, first of all the pancha samskara, then the upanayanam samskara. So these people, because they haven't gone through the pancha samskara, they haven't gone through the upanayanam samskara, they're not fit for any Vedic ritual. But because they want to do it, they want to purify themselves, we can do a ritual for them. Strictly speaking, we should do a Puranic ritual for them because they're not Vaishnavas. It's not a matter of being a Vaishnava, it's a matter of not only being a Vaishnava, but secondarily being also a Brahman Vaishnava, a Dvija Vaishnava, right? So even for people who just maybe had Vaishnava initiation or Harinam or whatever it is, the first initiation, they're purified, but they still, then they don't have access to the Vedas because they haven't taken Upanayam, they don't do Sanyavandanam. So even for those persons, even for first initiates, any Vedic samskara would be forbidden technically, right? Because they don't have access to that. So it all depends upon your level of scrutiny of the person according to their adhikara. Adhikara means their qualification. So first thing you have to think of is, what's my qualification to perform the ritual? Try to be what I do. My rule of thumb is like this. I look at a prayoga, I look at a situation and I think deeply about it. Am I qualified to perform this ritual? If I don't feel that I'm qualified to perform this ritual, I don't perform it. Or I become qualified to perform it. I should learn the mantras. I should do Sanyavandanam, which I do. So I do Trikala Sanyavandanam. If I meet other people, and they say to me, well, why should I do Sanyavandanam? Well, I say, if you're not going to perform any Vedic rituals, then you don't need to do it. Then don't do it. You don't need to chant Gayatri Mantra if you're not going to do any of these things. You don't need to learn the Vedas, Vedic chanting, unless you're going to do Vedic samskaras. If you want to do it, then learn those things and do those things, practice those things, become qualified to do them, and then do them. And similarly, if you have your standard is that, first of all, my personal feeling is I like people who have they have a big standard for themselves, they have a lesser standard for other people. So they're very, very compassionate upon other people who have maybe a very low standard or no standard, and try to bring them up, try to help them become more spiritual and more purified. Whereas for myself, we should try to be more strict and try to follow more of the rules to give them the best experience possible, right? You should think, rather than think of first of all, we're thinking of the qualification. Oh, somebody comes to me and he's a meat eater, so therefore you're not qualified, go away. I want to find out how he's qualified, or make him qualified, or offer him a service that he's qualified for, and somehow purify him. And rather, I'm thinking, am I qualified to perform the ceremony for him? That should be my first thought. Second, so first of all, when we talk about adhikara, when we talk about qualification, first thing we should think about is ourselves. Are we qualified to perform the ceremony? Secondly, we should think about others. Are they qualified to be part of the ceremony? Okay, and we can think about these both these things in different ways. And there's also a certain expectation, if we're working in an institution, the institution may have certain rules and certain standards, and all of a sudden there may be an institutional temple, there may be an ISKCON temple or something like that, where there's a big community coming and people are coming, and all of a sudden, if you start picking and choosing, this person you can have a wedding and you can't have a wedding. You can have a samskar, but you can't have a samskar. Why? Because we want to see, we're coming over to your house tomorrow to check your refrigerator to see you don't have any eggs in your refrigerator. And if you don't have any eggs in your refrigerator tomorrow, yes, we'll do a ceremony for you on Saturday. But, we don't know what the person, we don't have surveillance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on these people to know what they do, what they don't do. Neither do we have that on devotees, regular people in our community. So we don't know, and neither do we really care. We take people's word for it. Probably these people are honest and they say to you, we're not vegetarians, So, okay, fine. That's not a problem. We have to work with what we have, and we have to purify people, even if they're dog eaters or cow eaters or whatever it is, like we used to be. We can purify those people also. We have to think of ways and in which to do it. And there may be an institutional bar on doing something. We have to be careful about that. If we're doing something in an ISKCON temple, certainly we have to follow whatever the rules and standards that are being set there. And if we're not doing it in there, then we have our own conscience and our own mind to decide how we want to do those things. So, like I said, we have prayoga. Ramarama Nuttacharya, my friend in Australia, he made a prayoga for Puranic samskaras, and to make people happy who don't want to do or are not qualified for doing Vedic samskaras. But if you want to do the Satkriya Sardipika, which is the standard in ISKCON, and also you have to understand, Indians, a lot of time the Indian community around the world, the expatriate Indian community, they will know that a samskar is done in a certain way, and they'll appreciate if you do it the same way. And if you say to them, no, you're not qualified for that, then they'll say, who is this foreign person to tell me? What's the qualification of this foreign person, this foreign priest, to tell me, an Indian, even though I'm a meat eater or I'm not doing Sandhyavandana, I'm a born Brahmin, but maybe I'm not doing Sandhyavandana. Who is he to tell me that I'm not qualified for this? And they easily will go to an Indian priest who doesn't really care, who just wants the dakshina and doesn't really care anything. This is the problem that my friend Ramarama Nuttacharya had in Australia, because he said, I'm not going to do gay weddings, but I will do a ceremony for people who want to do a ceremony of friendship. They want to do a samskar to purify their monogamous relationship, even though they're not heterosexuals. They're homosexuals, they're gay. And he said, I will do a ceremony they want to have a blessing. They want God's blessing somehow. They want some sort of blessing, even though their behavior is considered to be somewhat sinful in the Dharma Shastras. Isn't all of our behavior considered to be somewhat sinful in the Dharma Shastras? I mean, if I were to sit here and to read off the list of sins that we all commit every day, every year, every month, you know, I'd never get through that class. All right, I could just go on and on and on from the Dharma Shastras. So let's just admit, everybody's a sinner. It's Kali Yuga, and we're all, you know, every day you sweep the floor, you breathe air, you're killing living entities. There's so many sins that we commit day and night, either gross or subtle or mental or what. There's so many things. So let's just admit it, like the Christians, we're all sinners, okay? Some more than others. And there's cannibals out there. There's cow killers out there. They're definitely worse than the vegans who eat the vegetables, right? But you know, so there's gradations. There's gradations. Homosexuality in the Vedas is actually a low grade sin compared to heterosexual sins, considered more heinous, more problematic. Why? Because the possibility is there of creating Vanasankara, of the mixture of castes, of completely destroying society by unwanted progeny. Whereas in homosexuality, there isn't. So what did Arjuna say in Bhagavad Gita? What did he say to Krishna? Oh, Krishna, we shouldn't fight this war because we'll kill all the men and all the husbands will be dead, and then the wives will be unprotected and they'll be taken advantage of by unscrupulous men, and there'll be unwanted progeny. He was worried about heterosexual sin destroying the society. Did Arjuna say to Krishna, well, we shouldn't fight this war because, you know, if we kill all the men, all the women will become lesbians? He didn't say that. That's not what he was worried about. He wasn't worried about homosexual sin. He was worried about heterosexual sin. So that's a difference between Semitic religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In the Old Testament, they are very worried about homosexual sin, and they consider that to be a venal or a mahapapa, what we call in Sanskrit a great sin. That's a great sin that somebody should be killed for. But in Manu Samhita, the sin of homosexuality is cured by fasting for a certain amount of time, or simply by taking a bath with your clothes on. So it's considered a very low sin. Okay, you lose your caste by doing it, all right? But still, you can regain your caste just by taking a bath with your clothes on and fasting, a little bit of fasting. So, whereas the heterosexual sin of sleeping with the guru's wife, right? What do you have to do in Manu? Cut your genitals off, hold them in your hand, and walk to the east until you drop dead. You know, that's the difference. That's the difference in the Vedic civilization, the way they see it. What's a sin? What's a big sin? What's a little sin? And the way they see it in the Eastern, in the Semitic religions, you know, the way they see it. So there's a difference in gradation of sin. Okay, so, you know, really when we get into all these things about grading people according to their qualification and how sinful they are and whatever it is, what the length of their hair is, you know, whether they shave, whether they did all these things, you know, did you take a bath today, sort of thing. You know, there's just general things we can say to people. Most people will be respectful if we say to them, if we can make suggestions to them, please come to the ceremony, you know, please be vegetarian that day, come to the ceremony, you take a bath and wear fresh clothes before you attend the ceremony, like that. Any person who is a nice person, even though they're a meat eater, if you ask them a few simple things to do, they will accommodate you, and it'll help purify them. And you just take it from there. And then if you don't want to chant Vedic mantras in front of them, that's fine. You don't have to. But just remember, you know, in ISKCON, for instance, we invite people who eat steak to come to the temple on Sunday and dance and chant with us and sing Vedic mantras and listen to Vedic scriptures and participate in Vaishnavism. So why that is the yajna for the age. So why do we restrict people from this other yajna, which isn't really the yajna of the age? It's just something that we do, right? Which is not as important as the main yajna. The main yajna is the Harinam yajna, and everybody can be in that. And yet we say, oh, this is not the main thing, but you're restricted from that. I would think the more important yajna is the one that they have to qualify for more. But in Kali Yuga, everybody's qualified for that. So if everybody's qualified for the greatest yajna, Harinam, then how can we say these other yajnas which don't matter so much, you're not qualified for? Just some reasoning. There's different reasonings about it. And different people think in different ways. You know, it's like some people think I should make myself very pure before I touch the deity, because the Lord. And other people think I'm not pure, I'm impure. But when I go and I touch the deity, I become pure. So there's different mentalities that people have. Neither of those mentalities is wrong, but still there's ways to go about doing that, touching the Lord. So anyway, these are whole discussions of doctrine. These are discussions of doctrine. Our practice always comes by first meditating on doctrine. So we have certain doctrines in Vaishnavism, and we should consider those doctrines and consider what's more important, what's less important. The main rule and regulation, which we always quote, is always remember Krishna, never forget him. And all other rules and regulations go by the side. So if by saying to these people that you're not qualified to do something, or saying to some devotees, oh, you're only first initiated, we can't do a thing for you, or whatever. If by doing that, if we discourage people and they go away and they don't hear about Krishna and they don't, then that's not right. What we want to do is we want to encourage people. At the same time, we also don't want to offend the acharya, the purvacharyas and the shastras and the whole tradition by doing something outlandish, completely outside of the sampradaya or outside of the tradition, like that. So there's a certain tradition. The tradition is called shistachara, what other people have done, and in the past, and we should follow that. And we should also take into consideration what it says in the scriptures. And we also have to be practical. So, is there any other questions about that? I think, it's fine if you want to do so. To me, I would do Satkriya Sargipika for people who are non-vegetarian, if that's what they want, if that's what and that's what you want. But if you want to get more, maybe that's the only version of the ceremony that you know. If you know other versions, if you know a Puranic version, and you could make a nice Puranic version for people who are not initiated or not vegetarian or whatever, who you consider not to be qualified for a Vedic ceremony, then do that. You could do that too.
Well, I'm completely new to this samskara, and right. I think that there is, I'm quite sure that there's a rule that we do samskaras in ISKCON only for initiated ISKCON devotees. So in that sense, I'm thinking more.
I'll tell you right now, there's no rule like that.
In Germany, yes, I heard.
In Germany, there's a lot of rules. Always have been, always will be. So maybe there's a tradition in Germany to have a lot of rules. Okay, but I can tell you right now, if you go to the UK, if you go to London, they'll be doing weddings. They just build themselves a big wedding hall right in front of Bhaktivedanta Manor.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that they're only initiated devotees are getting married there. Am I right? Right?
Yeah.
So there's no such rule like that in the whole of ISKCON. So maybe in ISKCON Germany, they have a rule like that. And maybe the Germans want to think about the rule and whether they want to relax the rule. But if they have that rule, and if you're following that rule, if you're on an ISKCON property and you're in an ISKCON venue and you have to follow that rule, then follow that rule. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Like that. There's a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And probably when in Rome, the Germans probably do as the Romans do too. But when in Germany, we have to do as the Germans do, right? Exactly. So for sure, if you have a local rule, if you have a local standard like that, it's fine. I'm talking in general, and I'm making a video here for people, maybe they'll see it from different parts of the world. So, yeah. So exactly. So we know the standards in Germany may be a little bit different. Follow your standards, whatever your standards are. Yeah, we just lost you for a second there, but that's fine. So I was just saying it's fine. There are also local traditions. and local standards. And if you want to follow the local standards, if you want to fight against the local standards with your authorities and say, hey, you know, why don't we do this? Maybe this would be better. Maybe we could get more people. We could enthuse more people, and we could purify more people if we opened it up to everything. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? He took a mantra from the Vedas, from the Kali Santaranya Upanishad, and he gave it to everybody. And what did the Brahmins in Navadvip say? Right? They said, we're Navadvip Brahmins, right? Or we're German Brahmins, and we have a rule that you can't do this, right? And what did Chaitanya do? He said, no, I'm a UK Brahmin. I can do it. Right? I want everybody to have it. So different people have different ideas. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not good. You don't go. Okay, there's two ends to the spectrum. There's a spectrum, right? If you go too far to one side with rules and regulations, you become a smarta karmakandi. We're only just interested in this little rule. We're not interested in the principle. We're not trying to make people purified. We're not trying to help everybody. We're only interested in enforcing the rules as much as possible. That is also called too much attachment to rules and regulations. You go the other side, and you have people who are like, anything goes. I'm a hippie, yeah, let's do the fire sacrifice, and maybe I'm going to smoke during the fire sacrifice and take drugs and do this and that and the other. You know, anything goes sort of thing. That's too much to that side. Too little appreciation for the rules and regulations. So somehow or other we have to find a happy medium and get in the middle there, right? So either we're not sahajas and we're also not smarta Brahmins. So we have to be somewhere in between there. So that's why we have authorities. That's why we have people. First of all, that's why we have the super soul to our conscience to tell us what we think is right. And that's why we have gurus outside also. We have the internal guru, Chaitya Guru, to tell us what's right. From him, knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness come. But we also have people to check that with outside. We have the guru, and we have the temple president, we have the GBC, we have the people who are our authorities outside to check that with. Like, I'm thinking, I'm thinking in my heart that I really, would like to benefit all living entities by being able to perform this particular thing for these living entities and help them to purify their lives. And I run it past the GBC and the TPs, and they say, yeah, that sounds good. Or they say, no, that's not our standard. We don't do that. And then, so by checking and by consultation amongst other Vaishnavas, other people who are advanced people in Vaishnavism, they'll bring up different points, and there can be a consensus. And whatever the standard is, whatever the consensus standard is, you go with that. And sometimes the standard changes, hopefully for the better, right? Maybe it gets more liberal, maybe it gets more strict. Like in the olden days in ISKCON, everybody used to do Abhishek of all the deities. Am I right? And the GBC put out a thing where the deity minister said, no, that's going to stop. That's going to stop, and only the Brahmins are going to do it now. We're going to have a separate class of people to do that, and everybody and his brother and sister are not going to do that, except for Shnani Yatra, right? That's their system right now. They have a system like that. They let everybody come and bathe Jagannath for Shnani Yatra because they think that that's somewhat different. And they have a standard. The standard is evolving in ISKCON. We're evolving traditions in ISKCON. ISKCON's only 50 years old, so there's a few traditions in ISKCON we can follow, which have evolved over time. And I'm sure there'll be more traditions coming down from on high for ISKCON. And there are ancient traditions which are thousands of years old or hundreds of years old, and those also can be taken into consideration. So we have to consider, when we're doing something, we have to consider also the different traditions, the modern traditions and the ancient traditions, and we have to blend those things together. We also have to consider those people. If they're Indian expatriates, they have traditions. They have their own traditions. So we have to talk to them and ask them about what their expectations are. Because if their expectations are not met by our standards, they will go to some other group. ISKCON is not the only game in town anymore, okay? There are other Hindu temples, there are other Hindu communities, there are other gurus, there are other sampradayas. There are other philosophies. And people have free will. They can go wherever they want. So we want to preach to people the doctrines and the practices that we believe in firmly. And therefore we have to make it somewhat possible for them to follow. If it's impossible for them to follow for any reason, of course, there's always a breaking point. It's not, Bhaktisiddhanta said, yeah, I'll serve meat. If we can get people to come to the temples, I'll serve meat in my temples. But he never actually did it. He never actually served the meat. So, I doubt very, very much whether he would have done that. He was making that hyperbolic statement as an example, as just a principle that we do want to engage everybody in Krishna consciousness. And we have to try to think of how to do it in the best way. And that's why we have other devotees to help us to figure out what the best way is. And we don't necessarily know ourselves, but sometimes we can come up with a good idea. Sometimes we can come up with a good idea and we can put it forward to other people and say, and they can all agree, yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm sure if the rule in Germany is that certain people can't have a Vedic ceremony or a certain ceremony, maybe you can take the Puranic ceremony and you can say, look, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Striya Vaishastasa Sudras Tepiyanti Param Gatim. Everybody can approach the supreme destination. Everybody can qualify for something. So here's something, no Vedic mantras, just Puranic mantras, and we can do something for people. And it doesn't offend those people who believe that certain ceremonies should only be for initiation. Like the whole thing about, somebody comes to the temple and says, oh, I cook this at home, and I want to offer this to the deity. I want to offer this to Krishna. And we say, no, you're not initiated. You're not a Vaishnava. You're a meat eater, and you're bringing us a bowl of sweet rice that you cook because you read a Hare Krishna cookbook, and you think you want to offer that to Lord Narasimha. Sorry, you can't do that like that. Well, maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a festival or something like what used to happen in Rath Yatra. I believe in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you read the Rath Yatra. People used to cook and they would bring it and they would place it beside, when the carts go by, they would offer it to Lord Jagannath on the cart. And maybe he accepts it or maybe he doesn't. But they can't personally go and offer it to him in the temple. So that's a way for them to do it. So there might be some, just like the Shnani Yatra is a time when everybody can go and pour water on Jagannath. So maybe you make an allowance like that at some time. Certainly we're not suggesting that you have a huge festival and that all the devotee prasadam should be cooked by somebody who's a meat eater, and not a devotee. No, but at the same time, even in ISKCON in Bombay, Prabhupada had them hire cooks because they had many devotees, and they hired cooks who were Brahmins by birth, with black Brahmin threads because they're so dirty, right? And the guys in between cooking for the devotees, they'd go outside and smoke bidis. I've seen personally. I saw these people in Bombay Temple, ISKCON Juhu. These people were hired cooks. And they're hired because they're Brahmins, but they're the dirtiest, filthiest Brahmins you've ever seen, right? And they smoke, and who knows what they do at home, right? But even when they're on the job, they take a break from cooking the khichdi for the devotees and go outside and smoke. And this happened in ISKCON. This is maybe still happening in some places in ISKCON. And Prabhupada approved it in India, because in India, that's the system, is you have to hire cooks. When you're feeding 10,000 people, you have to hire cooks because the devotees maybe are even unable to do it or unwilling to do it. And you get people, and they're professional cooks, but they're not necessarily the best people. They don't have the best behavior. They're not up to the standard that devotees are up to. And you don't offer that food to the deity. Maybe you offer it to some guru or something, and he blesses it or something. Whatever you do. I don't know what they do exactly.
Just pertaining then to this Puranic prayoga,
yeah.
So this would be like a legitimate and good option for people who are not following for some of the principles of ISKCON.
Yeah, it's a good option. the problem is that that priests, a person who's a professional priest, he doesn't want to learn 20 different ways of doing something. Mm. So normally in India, what you do is you have a priest and he knows one way of doing things and he knows the Vedic way and he just does that for anybody. So, but if you want to be more open to different communities and different things, you have to, I mean, especially when you're doing weddings, people have all these different ceremonies and different communities where they have different cultural aspects and different things that they do, and you have to always ask the families, what's your custom? What's your local custom that you follow? Like that. I mean, I did a wedding one time in India, in Chennai, like that. All the people came from Australia. They were all from Australia. They were all Australian. They were Indians originally but they're living in Australia, of Indian ancestry. They came to Chennai, and the bride's families from South India, the groom's families from North India. How do you do that ceremony? So what you do is you talk to them and you make a deal and you say, okay, what we're going to do is up to the point of the ceremony where the bride is given away by the father is all South Indian style. And then as soon as she's given away by the father to the groom's family, when she leaves her family and goes into his family, all the stuff from that onwards is the North Indian style, because he's North Indian and his family's North Indian. And that happens in Vaishnavism too. Like in Sri Vaishnavism, you have Vadagalais and Tengalais, Catholics and Protestants. And if a girl who's a Catholic marries a Protestant, she becomes a Protestant. The kids are all Protestant. And if a girl who's a Protestant marries a Catholic, she becomes Catholic and the children become Catholic because it's male-centric. But yeah, so these sort of things have to be taken into consideration. You have even people, Vaishnavas in India, Vaishnava Brahmins, they can't find a girl or a boy to marry from their own religion, even from, like their own sect. So they can't find somebody who's a Vaishnava. They have to pick somebody who's a Smarta. They have to, find a girl who's a Smarta to marry a Vaishnava. And there are some Smartas who are better than other Smartas. Let's put it that way. So in South India, they have 8 main types of Smartas. There's one type called a Vardhama, and the Vardhamas all worship Vishnu. They're Smartas, but they all worship Vishnu as their main Istadevata. So they're considered to be better by the Vaishnavas because they worship Vishnu as their main deity rather than Shiva or Devi. So, but anyway, these are all little adjustments. So, the material world, there's nothing perfect in the material world. So we have to make adjustments all along the way. So the question is to become expert enough to make the proper adjustments so that you can do the main thing, which is always remember Krishna and never forget him. Always keep that in mind and say, okay, so by doing it this way, is it better for their consciousness, the people's consciousness, or is it better for their consciousness to do it the other way? Because that's what we want. We want to promote Krishna consciousness. So however we can do that best, right, is the answer to the question. Okay, so is it Raghunath? Do you have anything? Any other questions or comments before we finish here? I think we ran through it. All those other things, the preliminaries, we don't have time today to go over it. If you want to do another session and you want to go over all the preliminaries and the other complicated parts, we can do that too.
I would like very much.
Yes. Did we cover everything? We covered everything in Sakriya Sar, perhaps. And if we do Sakriya Sar again, you can remind me. I'll have the original Sakriya Sar with me, or I'll have the file with the Bhaktivinoda's original, Bhaktisiddhanta's original, and I can say if a mantra is actually there or not there and how it is there. And I've also got the Vedic concordance, and we can look for the Vedic mantras. We can find out where things are. Some Veda Brahmana is difficult. I've got some soft copies of that. It was done by some German scholars. So I have a couple of books in German, which I can forward to you also, which about Vaisnava Brahmana, if I can find them. Have it somewhere on a disc somewhere.
Sure, sure.
If you're interested. But see, at the same time, maybe I won't forward them to you because they're all probably in Devanagari and maybe you don't read it. So, but at least I can look at it and I can answer some questions. And the German part of it, if you're interested, also I have a nice book which I like very much in German about mudras. Mudras in Balinese Hindu worship. Mudras of Bali, it's called. 1923 book. I think some artist in Stockholm made the pictures, and the text is all in German. I sent to Amara recently. Nice. Okay, so Raghunath, anything? I'm going to end here.
I can't think of anything. It's great. Thank you so much.
I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of stuff. You can watch this again and again and see all the details and things. No,
I really liked how you talked about some of these other points, about qualification and everything. I really got a lot of benefit from that.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing people do, like people are always looking for a guru, and they're always thinking, who is the perfect guru, And I tell this story. Here's a story that I tell. There was a man, and he was looking for the perfect woman. And he searched all over the world, and he had this idea in his mind who the perfect woman was to marry. And so he finally found the perfect woman. He finally found the perfect woman, and he went up to her and he said, "You are the perfect woman. Will you marry me?" And the woman said, "No." And he was crushed. He said, I looked all over the world, and I found you, and you're the perfect woman. Why won't you marry me? Please tell me why. Why will you not marry me? And she said, well, I'm looking for the perfect man. So that's the point. We always think, we're trying to find the perfect guru. We're trying to find the perfect priest. But, we're not thinking, what's our qualification? Or we're trying to find the perfect sponsor. We want to perform weddings, and we want the perfect couple to come to us, right? We don't want all the gay people to come to us. We don't want the meat eaters to come to us. But guess what? They're the guys that are going to call us on the phone. They're the fallen people are the ones who want to purify themselves more. So if you put a block on your phone for anybody who's sinful, then you're not going to get any calls, because it's Kali Yuga and everybody's got some faults. And if you block everybody, right? Just like if you go on Facebook and you say, okay, anybody who's sinful, I'm going to block. How many people will be your friend on Facebook in Kali Yuga? You have to block everybody. Probably you'll end up blocking yourself. Okay? Because it's ridiculous. When we start down that road, it's a slippery slope, and everybody has some fault. And so the Vaishnavas, the difference in a Vaishnava and a Smarta is the Vaishnava tends to overlook the little things. And the real problem is, what's a little thing, what's a detail, and what's a principle? What's a thing which is absolutely we cannot do without you doing this. You've definitely got to do this. No, I'm sorry, we can't offer that to the deity if it's got beef or eggs in it. Sorry, we can't do that, okay? Just like we read in Hari Bhakti Vilas, if we're opening a temple in Hari Bhakti Vilas, we have to offer different offerings to the different directional demigods. Okay, that's fine, we can do that. But then if it says this demigod gets meat and this demigod gets fish, and it says that in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And then the purport by Sanatana Goswami says, no, we're Vaishnavas. We're not going to offer meat. We're not going to offer fish. We're going to offer sweet rice instead. And those demigods, they just have to be satisfied with that. And they, although normally in the Shastras it says we have to offer meat and fish to them, we're not going to do that because we're Vaishnavas. So we have our own Vaishnav way of doing things. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have to break some of the little rules and regulations. We have to be not too much attached to the rules and regulations, and not too detached from them.
I heard someone say one time previously, they told this, they were talking about how some people say that they won't go to church because of all the sinners there.
Oh yeah.
Where, some people say things like that, like, I won't go to the temple because, the hypocrites, or, so many sinners there actually. So I heard someone say before, well, then that means that's the same as saying that you won't go to a gym to work out because of all the out of shape people there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't chant Hare Krishna anymore because what if I commit an offense? What if I commit an offense while chanting? I mean, I was head pujari in Fiji one time, ISKCON Fiji, and the Fiji is only Indians coming to the temple. The Fijians are all Christians; they don't come to the temple. But the half the population is Indians, and they all come to the temple, and it's like so many Indians coming to the temple in Fiji. I mean, they're Fijian Indians; they're from India, but Tamils, Gujaratis, Hindustanis, they're all coming to the temple like that. So I used to, I was pujari, so I used to chant my rounds sitting on the front steps of the temple in the afternoon after, doing so much deity worship. And then every Sunday, one guy used to drive up in his car and he'd park right in front of the temple, look out the window and do a pranam to the temple and pray and then drive off. And we had a Sunday feast. So I thought, this guy comes every week, or I should go and I should talk to him and get him to come to the Sunday feast. So I went down there one time when he came and I said, wait. We're having a Sunday feast. We're having a program. We have arti and we have prasada and we have everything, come on into the temple. And he said, oh no. He said, I can't come in the temple because I eat meat. The guy is praying to Krishna. Okay. I said, no, you can come in the temple. You can come in the temple. He said, really? He said, but I eat meat. I said, eating meat's sinful. I said, yeah, eating meat is sinful. He said, then I can't come in the temple. I said, no, you can come in the temple. He said, well, what about eating meat? I said, that's sinful. He said, but I eat meat. I said, okay, you eat meat, that's sinful. But when you go in the temple, that's not sinful. You can go in the temple. Go in the temple, see the deities. You can come and take prasadam, like that. He said, so it doesn't matter that I eat meat? I said, yeah, it matters that you eat meat. It's sinful. You shouldn't eat meat. Don't eat meat. But if you have to eat meat, don't give up coming to the temple. Come to the temple. And same thing. People used to, in Fiji, same thing. Often, this is what would happen, right? It's such an interesting place, okay? People walk up the stairs. It was a long staircase. The temple room was on the upper floor. And before going into the temple room, people have to take their shoes off. Not only do you take plastic shoes off because you're walking on the ground and you don't want to get dirt in the temple and disrespectful, but some shoes are made of leather, right? So the people would take their leather shoes off. Quite often I would see this. The guys would come, they take their leather shoes off. The guy would take his leather belt off his pants, twirl it up in a ball and put it in one shoe. He'd take his leather wallet out of his back pocket with all the money in it, credit cards, and he'd put that in the other shoe. And then he'd go in the temple for half an hour, an hour, leaving his money and his belt and his shoes outside for anybody to steal, right? And pray to the deity and then come out and everything's still there. Fiji is such a place that nobody will steal your wallet sitting in your shoes outside like that. So this is what people used to do. And you see sets of shoes there with wallets and belts. And people had this idea, no, we shouldn't wear, leather inside the temple. But I would say, well, why don't you buy yourself a non-leather belt? Why don't you get a non-leather wallet, So we don't live in such places. I don't live in a place where I can, put my wallet in my shoe and go into this place. And if I come out, the wallet's going to be gone probably, So, but it was like that. So people have these ideas. I shouldn't chant. If I chant and I'm wearing shoes, it's not right. So if I'm in Harinam and I should take my shoes off when I'm chanting Harinam. So the Harinam party's coming through and they're going through some place and there's all sorts of thorns in twigs on the ground and something like that. And somebody joins in the Harinam and he thinks, no, I can't chant Hare Krishna wearing shoes. So he takes his shoes off, but he's walking with the Harinam party through this area where there's, like if you go to Sri Rangam and there's a big festival and they go around with the Rath Yatra, right? If they see you wearing shoes, the surface of the road is a couple of 100 degrees from the hot sun, okay? And yet they expect you to walk in bare feet in these processions in India. You go to the temple even, you walk inside the temple, in the grounds of the temple, it's sand and it's so hot, it burns your feet, but you can't wear shoes. It's a temple. So what are you going to do, So there's some things, if you go, you go on parikram around Vrindavan like that and you're wearing shoes, people think, what is this? What is this? What are you thinking? But you see devotees all the time. They go for Vrindavan parikram, Govardhan parikram, and they're wearing shoes. And you got other people who are doing Dandavat pranams around Govardhan 100 times in each place. And that's their standard, and then you have other people who are wearing their army boots and walking around Govardhan, and they're thinking I'm getting benefit. And the other guy's thinking he's that's the only way to do it. So there's many ways of doing things and we have to be practical about them too, so there might be a situation where you have to bend the rules a little bit. I think in the West, in Berlin, if you're going for Rath Yatra, do you wear shoes? Yes, you probably wear shoes when you're in Rath Yatra in Berlin. But if you're in Sri Rangam, people are going to look at you and say, what are you doing? So there's some slightly different standards in different places and for different people and for different times and circumstances. And we have to adjust to the best of our ability to increase Krishna consciousness. That's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So I think we can end it here. And if like I said, if you want to do the other parts of Satkriya Sar, the beginning of, or if you want to talk about the Puranic version, we can do that too. We can talk about a Puranic ceremony. So just let me know what the subject is, the next subject for doing something. There are other people who want me to do classes on other things and different things. So we'll work it out. We'll work out to be able to do something.
Well, I would love to continue with Satkriya Sara Deepika because this will be a recurring thing for me.
Okay. All right. So we can do some more Satkriya Sara Deepika. We can start at the beginning now that we have now we've done the main version, the main part. This is the important part, the pradhana part of the Anaprasana. Sorry, I've got people blowing leaves outside here. And we'll do the other parts and we'll see how to do those. But you think about how long you have to do the ceremony because we have to shorten it because if you did it exactly as written in Satkriya Sara, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take many hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank
you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.